Hey guys, it's Leilani for God, and I'm back with another video. So in this one, I wanted to talk to you guys about Dr. York and how his philosophy ties into a lot of the activity that we've seen on YouTube over the past few years that we would consider to be cult activity. There are people who are running their own forms and fashions of cults. Some are males, some are females. I've talked about them throughout the history of my channel, and I'm going to be talking about them more in the future and reminding you about some of them in this video. Some of the people who come to my video are new, so I have to give them a little recap when I talk about these people. But for those of you who've been watching my content for some time, you guys already know. You guys already know that I've been exposing cult members, cult leaders, their tactics and strategies, and the way that people fall so easily for the tactics of the cult leaders. They will do stuff like have people leave their family behind, give up all of their worldly possessions, travel to foreign places, foreign countries, and become basically slaves of the cult leaders. The cult leaders will they make it mandatory that the members do not question their authority, that there are ranks and structures of order that take away people's natural rights that God gave us, the free will. The way cults are structured, it takes away people's right to constitutional rights like freedom of speech and freedom of assembly and freedom of being able to go wherever you want to go without being falsely imprisoned. All types of sexual relationships are enforced inside of cults. And so a lot of times people join these cults because they want to be a part of something, they want to feel important or like they're part of a family. And sometimes people join cults because they believe in the philosophy that's being taught by the cult leader. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the philosophy that was taught by Dr. York, as well as show you guys some of the land that he purchased for his members to live on with the money that the members made money and gave it over to the cult leader. So he was able to purchase land and expand his philosophy. And some celebrities got caught up in it, which also caused a lot of regular people to get caught up in it. So we're going to talk about all of that in this video. Just this one cult and how it has affected the sector that we're in now, the Jaguar sector, which is I guess you could say a residual or an offshoot. You know, if this were a television show, we'd call it a spinoff. Jaguar is a spinoff of a number of people who have come before her because not exactly the same, but a lot of the same content creators that are covering Jaguar also covered the past cult leaders that I'm going to talk about in this video to show you guys how this all has added up and how this is all connected. So even though I just now said that Jaguar was, connected to a long line of cult leaders, she actually makes reference herself out of her own mouth to her relationship to Dr. York. And she claimed that she was going to marry into Dr. York's cult by marrying one of his sons. So all of this stuff is connected. I'm going to show you everything I just said in the course of this video. So I made a comment in the comment section below, guys. Please remember to like the video. If y'all want to work with me to help me get predators off of YouTube, please consider joining my Patreon. And if you don't want to join, but you want to help me get the resources that I need to start the organization to get predators off of YouTube and social media, you can PayPal me, or you can send me a Cash App, or you can become a member of my channel by simply joining. So these are the different ways that you can support my movement to get predators off of YouTube, which is the reason why I do the type of content that I do to help you guys understand how to recognize and identify a predator a cult leader, people who have philosophies that are simply not true, that they make up in order to create groups of people that they will then enslave and make those people worship them as individuals. So we're talking about Malachi Z. York today. Here is, and you can enlarge your screen if you want to see this more clearly. This is from YouTube. There are YouTubers who are still endorsing Dr. York now. Even though Dr. York has been in sentenced, he's in prison. He's in prison right now. He's been sentenced to like 135 years for financial crimes as well as accusations that he was trafficking minors for, you know, abuse purposes across state lines. And there are adults who have come out and testified against Dr. York, saying that they were victims as children of Dr. York's abuse for which he was trafficking them. And still to this day, you have people still endorsing Dr. York, even though he's behind bars. They're still convinced that Dr. York is innocent and he was framed by the government and he didn't do anything wrong. Anyway, here's a little bit about Dr. York's philosophies. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys a couple of old pamphlets that I found that I purchased years ago off the street from Dr. York. I'm going to show you guys he's a Freemason. It's in the literature that his people used to sell. It's not something that you're going to find on the internet or on YouTube because I look for it. So it's a good thing that I happen to have old books that I purchased still in my possession to show you guys proof in this video, right? And it's funny because people who are like uneducated and they haven't accomplished anything in life, they call me old. I'm actually not old. I'm just really smart. I've always been a bookworm. I've always been studious. So I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of old books, right? But people think I'm old because I have so much information. But the reason why I'm so wise is because I study. That's the reason why. You don't have to be an old person to have old knowledge. You just have to use your brain. But it's funny because the two people who call me old, they don't use their brain to survive in life. These two women actually sell their bodies. So I'm not surprised that they would call me old, right? Because their bodies are older, like 500 years older than everything that I own. So it's weird that they would call me old. But anyway, the information is old that I give you guys. And this is a good example of old information because now we get to see how it ties into Jaguar Wright, who is a new person over the past 2 years to just come to Black YouTube and create chaos. So she seems new, but the spirit that dwells within her is old. So let's get into this. Dr. York, man from planet Risk. So Dr. York promoted himself as some kind of alien who traveled to, I want to say America, but not America. He traveled to planet Earth, right? Because he considered himself to be some kind of like angel. And he considered himself to have some wisdom that he wanted to impart to human civilization, that the world was gonna, like, I want to say come to an end, but that's not exactly what he was saying. Dr. York was teaching that in 1995, the mothership was going to come to get Black people off of planet Earth before the Earth got destroyed. And you had to believe in Dr. York and his teachings, go to his, temples and his programs and give him all your money and join his cult in order to get onto the mothership. And so a lot of people believed in that. They became very nervous and they just believed in him, unfortunately. Dr. York was able to get Erykah Badu to believe in him, Andre 3000, and the actor Wesley Snipes. These people believed in Dr. York, and because of their endorsements and donations and references to Dr. York, a lot of Black people joined Dr. York's cult. But to be a part of it, you had to bring in money. So one of the ways that he had people bringing in money was to sell his books. And his books, like this one here, Man from Planet Risk, anybody with common sense, because I read some of his books, anybody with common sense could read it and could figure out that Dr. York was making all of this stuff up off the top of his head. It's the equivalent of writing a comic book. The book had cartoon drawing pictures of aliens that Dr. York was saying that they were from other planets, and he just had a lot of big, wild, crazy stories. The problem was you could not necessarily prove not one single word of what Dr. York was teaching. You had to only believe him. I've never heard of anyone say that Dr. York performed a miracle. The only thing people will tell you about Dr. York who were there during that time, which was in like the 90s to the early 2000s, they would say that he had a lot of land. They would say that he had a lot of people that moved to the land. They would say that they had impressive, hey Shell, you said those pics straight from the big head scientist. Hey Musa, Shell, somebody actually sent me the big head scientist video, and I recognized it right away as Dr. York philosophy. And it's really sad that people would just let this one man come and tell them all of these stories and give them cartoon picture drawings, and they totally just fell for it and believed in it. So yeah, they gave him so much money that he was able to buy a lot of land and build buildings that made other people feel like this guy is impressive. Now, he didn't do anything magical. He didn't do anything spiritual. He was just able to convince people to hand over a lot of money and sell his books so that he made a lot more money, right? So he told these stories and people believed him. He told stories about the Anunnaki bloodline, which I have debunked the Anunnaki theory on my channel in the past. I might have to make another video specifically about that subject because I talk about so many different subjects in each of my videos that people might not even know that I debunked the Anunnaki a long time ago. It's just like Dr. York. It's some guy who made up this story off the top of his head and has no proof to substantiate his claims. And the story of the Anunnaki is that aliens came to Earth and they created the human race to make the human race slaves. And there are a lot of people who have that type of fundamental philosophy who run very successful cults, such as Scientology. Scientology may be the most successful cult like of all time in terms of how much money that they have been able to get from their members. It's crazy. They have a similar story. Some aliens came to Earth and gave them this knowledge. Again, you just have to believe the people telling you the story. Like, there's no proof of any of this stuff. Anyway, I mean, this is the kind of stories and the kind of literature that Dr. York sells. Hey, Kenyatta. And then people buy into it. And unfortunately, it starts to consume their whole lives. See, these cartoon pictures are some more of the drawings that you would see inside of Dr. York's literature if you ever purchased it. I don't know how it is now. I haven't seen the stuff in over 10 years myself. But when I did see his literature, I was easily able to identify that it was not true, it was not factual, and that it was like a comic book. It's good stories. It's science fiction, right? But unfortunately, if you could make up crazy stories and draw pictures like this, people will apparently give you a whole lot of money. He was able to get people to believe in that he had a Nubian nation. And you can see he borrowed from the Muslims because he's got the women wearing the Muslim garb. This is a book somebody wrote about the land that they had. I think in Georgia, you see they're dressed in white, which makes them feel like, you know, they're being very spiritual, very angelic, and they're holy and righteous, right? And they have this land where they built some small scale pyramids, and it looks like what is that up there? I forget what it's called. A sphinx, the Sphinx from Egypt. Yeah, Kenyatta. He used to be a record producer. That's correct, Kenyatta. And honestly, Kenyatta, I'm going to get into a little bit about that in this video. Not that not about Dr. York's history. He was like a singer. And it's funny because, and it's, oh man, Kenyatta, you know, every time I make a video, something like what you're saying now will pop into my head later. And I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have thought about that before to show you guys the pictures of how Dr. York used to look when he was a singer. He had a jerry curl and he looked like he was wearing makeup and lipstick. And this is like back in the 80s. So, you know, he looks exactly like how these singers carry themselves today. Like, you know, like they had to, you know, be sexually promiscuous in order to get their record deals. He looks like a total puppet sellout. Like he didn't make it in the music industry, but I guess what everything he learned from being in the music industry, he took all of that information and turned it into building a cult. But yeah, he was in the music industry. He tried and he failed. He did put out some music and it wasn't successful. Here's some more pictures from his land. You see people with their hands up. I don't know what that means. But you see they have another pyramid built on the land. You see how they're dressed in black and white. The one in the back looks like he's wearing Egyptian garb. The two in the front, they're wearing like Moorish hats. So Dr. York was able to mix up the Egyptian stuff with the Muslim stuff with the Moorish stuff. And all of these are indications that he's a Mason. But I'm going to prove it to you, give you more proof later on in this video about that. I'm just showing you a little bit to warm you up to where we're going with this. So here it is, a pyramid from the Dr. York's land with the Sphinx, where you can see it from the front. So obviously the people who he recruited into his cult, they were selling a lot of books and sending him all of their money, because him to purchase this much land and build all of these structures on it and have all of these people in uniforms on his land living there, that's very expensive. So they were bringing in a lot of money for him. And now he's in jail, right? He's like nobody. So it's kind of weird how everybody bought into him and he just turned out to be a very demonic spirit. Hey, True Empress. Thanks for coming by. So it's very weird because this keeps happening. People keep like buying into bad people who have demonic spirits. It's like people are so attracted to the wrong thing. It says here, I Googled who is Dr. York. It says Dr. Malachi Z. York is an African, a global nationalist, international icon, teacher, etymologist, author, songwriter, and record producer, as Kenyatta said. Hey, Never Hungry Again. Yes, that is their king. Yes, even to this day, they still worship Dr. York. He changed his name legally in 1990 to Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi when he was still living in Brooklyn. He changed it again in 1993 to Malachi York, but also adopted a number of titles and pseudonyms, including the Supreme Grand Master, Dr. Malachi Z. York. In 2004, he was sentenced to 135 years in prison based on federal racketeering, the Mann Act, and cash structuring to avoid cash transaction reporting. He was the former head of the Eatonton-based Nuwabian group and was arrested in 2002 for sexually abusing the children of his followers. All right, so the last sentence said he was arrested in 2002 for sexually abusing the children of his followers. But right now, what I want you guys to focus on, we're going to talk a little bit more about, is his name here, Grand Master, Dr. Malachi Z. York. So these are the books that I found. They're small pamphlets. I bought these years and years and years ago, like 10 years ago, off the street. I'm such a bookworm that if I see like a black person on the side of the road selling books, I'm the type of person to where I will stop and buy books. Like, I'm just a bookworm. And they usually, when people are selling books out on the sidewalk, it's like for $2, $3, $4, $5. So that makes me happy. And I happened to buy these books like 10 years ago. I've never been a member of Dr. York's cult. I know people who were. I've always seen a very weird and mysterious look in their eyes, like they are in a daze or in a trance. They look very like deer in a headlight. They're nice, they're kind, they're polite, they're submissive, they smile, but they just look very empty and devoid inside. Anyway, I read some of their literature. For me, I was able to figure out it was nonsense, so they never were able to get me. But I had these because they're just in my my bookshelf, in my book collection. So I'm glad that I kept them all these years and I didn't throw them away, because now I can show them to you. These things you will never find on the internet. You will never be able to purchase this stuff. I'm the only one who has it. Anyway, these are a couple of books that was put out by Dr. York talking about the role of women inside of his Nuwapian cult. Now you see here it says Nuwapian with a P. Over time he changed it to Nuwabian with a B, and then he changed it to Nuwapu, and now they are called something totally different. So every couple of years they keep changing. Well, Dr. York kept changing the name of their organization and changing. He made up like some languages for them to speak, and he would keep changing it. He changed up the literature a few times. The reason why cult leaders do that, and a lot of them do that. If you guys ever followed Nature Boy, he would do the same thing. He would change the philosophy very often. He would change the names that they call themselves like on a regular basis. It was so often. It's like you could barely get used to what they were calling themselves and what they were believing in, because he kept changing it up. And the reason why they do that is to attract new members and to get more money. So it's like, okay, everybody that bought into what I was saying last week, okay, that's over now. I got to come up with a new strategy to attract new people to a new philosophy that will make them feel like, oh, this is new, this is different, this is cutting edge. Oh, I need to get on top of this now. It's a strategy and it works. It works. So back in the day when they were the Nuwapian nation, Dr. York came out with these two books about how the women should carry themselves inside of his cult. The thing is, just like most cult leaders, all of their philosophies, as much as they claim that it's theirs and it's unique knowledge that they made up, the truth is they take a patchwork of information from a whole bunch of other different sources and they put it together, and then they say, oh, I made this up. And you know, the scripture does say there's nothing new under the sun. So none of us is making up anything new, but there's a difference between connecting dots and saying, I see a pattern here and I'm recognizing something that other people are not seeing. There's a difference between that and actually taking information, copying and pasting it, and claiming it as your own. That's called plagiarism. So what Dr. York did with these two books is he plagiarized the information that the Freemasons have created for the Eastern Stars. The Freemasons are a brotherhood that's only open to men, but the Eastern Stars are the female version of that brotherhood, and that is open to women. But they have to submit to the men, so they have their own code of ethics and rules and regulations. So in this book that I purchased from the Nuwapian people years ago, you see right here the proof of the what's in my title and what I told you guys on my community post wall, that I was going to be proving that Dr. York is a Mason. Here is the first page. once you open up this pamphlet here, the first page on the inside, you got this picture of Dr. York in full Freemason. I don't even know what they call it. I want to call it a costume, but they probably call it a uniform. So he's got the one eye symbol over his head with the sun ray right over his head. He's got the Masonic square and compass symbols on his sleeves. He's got more pyramid stuff on his necklace and his shirt. It's a lot, okay? I'm not one of these people, so all I could tell you is the pyramid, the one eye symbol, and the square and compass, because those are common symbols in culture right now. Like not everybody's talking about this, but a lot of people are talking about this. So there's probably people who were in the Brotherhood that could tell you more about every single detail in this picture, that you only, wear this stuff if you were initiated by the Freemasons. Okay, so at the bottom, it says Reverend Dr. Malachi Z. York L., 33rd degree. Okay, for these people, that's the highest level of knowledge that you can get from them. And once they get to the 30 through the 33rd degree, that's the point at which they are either told or they are fully aware, because of the type of rituals they have to do at that point, that they worship the devil. So being a 33rd degree Mason is somebody who thinks that they can be powerful without having no relationship with God. That's basically what devil worship is. It's like you think you're going to be able to do magic and alchemy and manifest and attract and all type of stuff without God. And these people will kill chickens, goats, children, people. They will do so much evil deeds to worship the devil, to try to get favors instead of just have a relationship with God. So anyway, he claims to be 33rd degree, 720 degree. And it's interesting because I'm going to point out to you guys in Erykah Badu's lyrics, she talked about 720. And I think in her video for On and On, she literally had a 720 degree fake tattoo on her arm. And she sang in that song about the mothership. So these are all proofs that she was heavily influenced by Dr. York at that time. I don't know if she is now, but she was then. And so was, she was dating Andre 3000. So was he. He has videos where he uses the Dr. York symbolism, the mothership, the spaceships, and stuff like that. Okay, guys. So it says here that he's the Grand Master, worshipful Grand Master of the Nuwapian Grand Lodge of Freemasonry, International Incorporation, and the Grand Worthy Patron of the Nuwapian Grand Chapter of the Order of the Eastern Star. Okay, guys? So that's a whole lot of Freemason talk. Worshipful Grand Master is one of the Freemason positions. When people join a lodge, once they get so many degrees, they can be considered a worshipful Grand Master. And it says here, his title is from a Freemasonry International organization, and that he is basically the head of the Order of the Eastern Stars of the Nuwapians, which is the women's branch of the Freemasons. All right. So what is a Grand Master? Because that's the title that Dr. York is claiming to have as a 33 degree Freemason. It says here, a Grand Master is a Masonic leader. Okay? Masonic leader. A Grand Master is a title of honor as well as an office in Freemasonry given to a Freemason elected to oversee a Masonic jurisdiction, derived from the office of Grand Masters in chivalric orders. He presides over a Grand Lodge and has certain rights in the constituent lodges. Okay? So basically, this is saying that when a person like, uh, what's his name? Dr. York reaches the level of a Grand Master, that means that they can oversee a lodge. They can have their own meeting place and people that they recruit into Freemasonry. And so for Dr. York, that was his Nubian nation. Those people don't even know it, that they were initiated and recruited into a satanic cult. They were under the impression that this man is an alien from outer space. And it's funny because I just watched a video by an ex Freemason, which is on YouTube. It's only like 3 or 4 minutes. I would like to play the video for you guys, but I don't want to get a strike. The man says straight out that he was a Freemason and that the Freemasons at the 33rd degree believe in space travel. And that's what their 33rd degree is about. Now, people who believe in scripture, scripture says that there's a dome covering planet Earth. So that means that space travel is not possible. For people who are like, oh, well, NASA has all of these pictures of outer space. On YouTube, there are people who have made videos that say that they were commissioned to paint and create digital artwork for NASA, that the pictures they give us that are out of space were created by artists. And I saw those videos on YouTube. This is not about NASA, but I just want you guys to understand how all of this stuff is connected. So the fact that Dr. York created a cult based on the information that aliens came from outer space and created the human race is tied into Freemasonry overall philosophy. Like, he didn't just make it up. He just basically used it to manipulate and brainwash a whole bunch of people. Let me see how you guys are doing in the comments, because I've been talking a lot. It's a lot of information, I know, but all of this stuff, I'm going to connect all these dots on all these people. I'm going to bring this stuff all the way up to date on Jaguar Wright. I've already mentioned Erykah Badu, and y'all know Jaguar Wright be talking about her too. So all this stuff is connected. Okay, let's see how you guys are doing. Right. Well, Dre Bates, I hope that you learn from this, okay? Because Dr. York is a person who brought a lot of problems to the Black community. None of the people who followed Dr. York, nor Dr. York himself, nor anybody who's tried to follow in his footsteps and duplicate his work, none of it has been fruitful. We don't have any Black schools, hospitals, supermarkets, farms, the things that we need as a community. So just because you have a Black person that can get out here and become popular doesn't mean that they're productive. We need people to be productive. And so when we have people who become very popular and they're able to amass a lot of money and a lot of land, and all that they're known for is having promiscuous sexual relationships with hundreds of women, having Dr. York had like 70 or 80 children, and they all are on their own. They have not benefited from all of the millions of dollars and all of the hundreds of acres of land that he had. So I just want you to understand that even though you might be a fan of Dr. York, we have to think this through. With all of the money and all of the land, how did it benefit even his people? It didn't. Those people live in poverty and gave all their money to him to live in poverty. So you can't just take popularity as this is a real leader. A real leader actually provides benefits to the people that he leads. Pato says doctrines of devils. Exactly. Musa, Boule. Exactly. The Black Masons are the Boule. They are the gatekeepers. These people never advance the cause of Black people being independent from white supremacy. Shell said it's also the position of Grand Wizard in the KKK. Yes, all of these groups that we're familiar with that are allowed to operate out in the open to where we all know about them, Like young Pharaoh says he is and said he came here in a spaceship. Exactly, Anne. I'm going to talk about young Pharaoh towards the end of this video. Y'all are bringing up stuff that I'm definitely going to tie in. Dre Bates, who is a Dr. York fan, 666, Dre Bates representing for the Antichrist. He said, why not be the magician? Because, Dre Bates, there's no real magic. God is the only one that's actually doing miracles. The devil is only creating deceptions. Magic is a form of deception. Magic is when you are misdirecting people's attention to make them think that you're doing magic. It's a form of deception. It's an illusion. It's not true. And so if you want to live in a world of deception, that's your choice. But I would rather live in a world of reality and truth because the deception is usually very hurtful. Shell said the Most High's power is stronger than any magic. Hi, TRWZ. Thanks for joining. Okay. Right, Ann. Black magic is a ritual. Dre Bates said you actually summon UFOs. Dre Bates, the UFOs are fallen angels. People are summoning demonic spirits. You're summoning something for sure. And you could call fallen angels aliens because they don't come from Earth. They fell from their grace in heaven. But they don't like human beings. They hate us. They're very jealous that God still loves us and God still gives us a chance to repent and find him. The fallen angels are blocked off from God's forgiveness forever. So they try to tempt humans, us, into doing the bad stuff that they did to fall out of God's grace. And that's the funny thing about people who follow Dr. York and who follow cult leaders and who follow demonic religions. They don't realize that it's the fallen angels that's communicating with them spiritually through tarot cards and Ouija boards and whatever else they do to summon demons. And they don't realize that not only do these fallen angels, not only are they demonic spirits, but they're intentionally trying to trick you into hell. So people are like so willing to go along with them, not realizing that these demonic spirits actually hate humans. Dre says it's really about benefiting yourself. Okay, Dre, keep benefiting yourself and working for the devil. And when you die, when your body dies and you get judged and go to hell eternally, then you're going to regret it. But then it's going to be too late. Okay, so play your own game at your own risk. I'm just telling you what it is and, have fun. Do you. But I'm telling you, if we could obviously see, none of the demonic people that work for the devil is doing anything helpful or healthy or beneficial that's bringing humanity to a better place. All of the work of these people I'm going to show y'all in this video that's connected to this, they're all evil, wicked, and destructive, just like Dr. York was. So if you can't tell a difference between somebody who's making the world a better place versus somebody who's making the world a worse place, then you might have been born with a demonic spirit. You might be a serpent seed. Perhaps your parents were Freemasons and Eastern Stars when they gave birth to you. And that's why it's so deeply ingrained in you to work for the devil. Okay? The devil doesn't like you. They only trying to hurt you. Dre says, we are the devil because we have to challenge ourselves. Actually not. The devil is a spiritual force in a group of people that God removed from heaven. So if we want to find our way back to God, we have to overcome our own sinful nature and we have to resist the temptation of the devil. Okay? We have to resist the devil's temptation. We're not devils. We have a sinful nature, which is rebellion, but we all rebel in different ways. And so we have to overcome our rebelliousness. Dre says, even God in the Bible says he travels in a spaceship. Yes, that's correct. But God is not a human. God is a supernatural force. So God would not be considered, like humans or angels. Like God is the creator. So he can do whatever he wants to do, however he wants to do it. That's way beyond our human comprehension. But I would never give Dr. York that level of respect. And now that Dre Bates said that, Now you helping me understand something. The reason why Dr. York would even put himself in that position is to try to compare himself to God, to try to say, oh, I'm just like God. I traveled to Earth in a spaceship with aliens. So thank you, Bates. You just helped me understand, like, why Dr. York made up that philosophy so that he could try to pass himself off as God to his followers, people like you. And you're right, Dre Bates. We never die. We are eternal. And if people do what you're doing, worshiping Dr. York, worshiping yourself, playing with magic, and throwing up the triple sixes, your eternal soul is not going to dwell in a heavenly place. So you follow those fallen angels as far as you want to. They dragging you right down with them. All right. So here, this guy did a video on TikTok. He said, look what I found in the Holy Bible, which actually is a 1925 Masonic Bible. University Lodge number is on the cover. He said, I was able to get a 1925 Mason Bible. So obviously, if it was copywritten in 1925, it's not the original Bible, because the original Bible is at least 5,800 years old at the very least. That's the oldest Bibles that I know of. There are some Bibles that are older in Ethiopia, but no one has been able to touch them, to carbon date them, because the Ethiopian people and the government are guarding those books. And it's good. It's rightfully so, because if they didn't, the devil's people would destroy them. But the oldest Bibles that I'm aware of are at least 5,800 years old. So if this Bible was copywritten in 1925, that's the first sign that you know that it's not the real thing. Inside of this Masonic Bible is a whole bunch of Egyptian hieroglyphics. They have Ptah, Amen, Thoth. A lot of the devil Freemason people worship Thoth, Tahuti. What else do they call him? Jehudi, Metatron. What else do they call him? They have these books that they read. Like, a lot of people are constantly talking about the books of Thoth. And these are Egyptian deities that people worship as if they're gods. And people are not putting two and two together, that nothing under God's creation is God. I don't know why people are so willing to worship God's creation as God himself. Like, that is so weird. So I think it basically, Shell said, does that include the 1611 Bible? Yes, that's not the original Bible, Shell. The original Bibles are not in English. The original Bibles are not in Greek. The original Bibles are not in Latin. The original Bibles are in Amharic, in Aramaic. These are old languages from people who lived in the area of Ethiopia. Now, if you travel to Ethiopia today, those may not be the same exact people who are the descendants of the people who lived there 5,000 years ago, right? But that is the space and the place in which the oldest Bibles are found, that are in Aramaic and Amharic. Okay, so Anne is correct. She said, who's to say the Bible was even interpreted correctly? The oldest Bibles are in Amharic and Aramaic. If you can purchase one of those Bibles that are written in that original language and learn the languages, you can learn Amharic and Aramaic. You can learn them on YouTube for free. People give Amharic and Aramaic lessons. So you can buy an Amharic Bible. You can study the Amharic language and read it for yourself, you know? So it's not like impossible to read the original language of the original Bibles, but definitely Hebrew is not the original language of the Bible. Neither is English, Greek, or Latin. So the Bibles that they give us now, you know, are definitely not the same as the originals. But this is even worse, because they've introduced Egyptian deities into the Bible. And the problem with that is the scripture specifically and clearly says God destroyed Egypt. God did not like their culture, what they were doing. And what were they doing? They was doing witchcraft. They was doing splicing of different type of animals and doing all type of genetic testing. That's why they have so many hieroglyphics with animal heads on human bodies. There's a lot of hieroglyphics where they doing homosexual stuff, man on man sex, like all type of stuff. So it was just a lot of stuff, and it was those were black people, black African people. The Egyptians are black people because Egypt is in Africa, and the people that's there now are not the original people once again. But the fact of the matter is, the Masons are trying to resurrect Egypt, and that is basically all of the things that the teachings of the devil, like they were summoning spirits that was giving them information that made them very advanced scientifically, you know, the education, the knowledge, like them being able to construct pyramids and stuff like that. That was advanced knowledge, but they were getting it by summoning demonic forces, not by God. All right. And so you have people on YouTube who are teaching the Americas are Egypt. This is another Freemason philosophy, right? The Americas are Egypt. More hieroglyphics from the Egyptian pyramids inside of the Freemason Bible. Amenhotep. They worship Amen Ra. That's why you have never, in the history of my channel, I've been here for almost 3 years, you've never heard me say amen. And I won't say that. You never hear me say in Jesus' name and blood of Jesus. You only hear me refer to God, because all of these are Freemason principles. Jesus, Amen Ra, Amen, all that is stuff that was introduced to separate people from God and to make you believe in men so they could take advantage of you, mostly financially and sexually and mentally. So this is some more of the Egyptian pictures that are inside of the 1925 Freemason Bible. And you guys can research everything that I'm telling you for yourselves, which is the reason why I show you guys where I find information, so y'all can go and find it for yourselves. Let me get something to drink because my throat is dry. That's why I keep dry coughing. Okay, I'm back. All right, let me see how you guys are doing. All right, so Dre Bates is fighting for Dr. York. Shell said, my dad said there was no letter J in the Hebrew alphabet. That's correct, Shell. So that means that Jesus' name could not be Jesus. But regardless, Hebrew is not the original language of the Bible. Dre said, these gods are not worshipped, just different aspects within yourselves. That is not true, Dre. People worship the Egyptian gods. They worship the Greek gods. They actually have rituals that they do. Certain times of the year, they have calendars on which they have to worship their deities. So they would not put that much energy into it if they were not worshiping it. True Empress said the English language is spellcasting. True Empress, like people who believe in that, that's how they create their own codes. Like there's a lot of different secret groups of people that they put things together their own way, and it's their own secrets because they have their own rituals. But I don't feel like everybody that speaks English is spellcasting. I feel like people who specifically are in some type of witch coven or some type of Masonic lodge or into one of these cults that's being led by a Mason, those are the people who make their own language and their own secret meaning behind words and then try to like act like, you know, they're doing some magic or whatever the case may be. Anne said none of those pyramids are in original form with limestone sides and gold capstones. No, because a lot of the people that wanted to understand what the devil people were doing in Egypt before God destroyed it, they destroyed those buildings. But there's pyramids all over the world. There's pyramids in America. There's pyramids in South America. There's pyramids in other parts of the world. So the Egyptian pyramids have been destroyed and reconstructed a couple of times, but the pyramids in other parts of the world are still close to their original form. Yeah, Shell. Dre is he's indoctrinated and brainwashed, and he's having like a hard time right now with what I'm talking about, because he's deeply indoctrinated into the devil knowledge, and the level of depth that he's into it. He was probably born a serpent seed. His parents were probably masons and stuff like that, so it's very deep inside of him. Like now he's saying, we are those gods. Dre, if you're such a god, can you perform a miracle for me right now? Can you pop a tree out the ground? Can you do some of the stuff that God did, like be a creator? If can you do anything like that? If you can't do nothing like that, you are simply brainwashed to believe that you are a god. This is one of those Freemason philosophies that's dragging you to hell. Because if you cannot prove what you're saying is true, then you have to accept that you're simply brainwashed. But this is a type of brainwashing that's going to affect your eternal soul. Anne said, I think our words just have multiple meanings since it was formulated from Spanish, Portuguese, Latin, Italian, and French. What do you think? Well, Anne, according to scripture, the reason why God mixed up languages and made different people speak different languages is because we were so rebellious that we were working together to fight against God, right? In the scripture, when it talked about the humans were building the Tower of Babel, and babbling is now the word that we use when someone is speaking nonsense. So because the humans had got together and decided that they were going to build the tower all the way to heaven where they was going to like confront God, which is complete nonsense, right? God caused people to start speaking in different languages. And so the reason why we have different languages is because if we were all speaking the same languages, too many evil, wicked people would be able to work together to conspire to further the work of the devil. So that's what had happened. Uh, Dre said everything that is written by man. That's true. All of the scriptures were written by man. Absolutely true. However, God works through people, okay? And the devil works through people. The devil absolutely, uses people the same way God uses people, through influence. You have a free will choice. Are you going to listen to the devil or are you going to listen to God? Right? Yes, and just like the Tower of just like Jack and the Beanstalk thought the Tower of Babel would work. Exactly. All right. So let's get back to this. um Universal Lessons of the Eastern Star, the 5 points of sisterhood. So again, this is the inside. I just want you guys to know what I'm talking about. I showed you guys I purchased these two little books some years ago from the Nuwapian Nation people, which are led by Dr. York. And it explains the role of the women inside of the Nuwapian Nation cult. And this is the inside of that pamphlet. It says Universal Lessons of the Eastern Star, 5 points of sisterhood. It says here, author's note, which is Dr. York. He says, after much reading, research, cross-referencing, and careful scrutiny of the many books of and about Shrinery Freemasonry, Shriner ladies and Eastern Star, males and females, written mostly by Euro Freemasons, it became quite clear to me, being born a Nubian, speaking Arabic, Hebrew of the tribe of Judah, and studying the Egyptian tongue, that instead of just reprinting or redistributing these books with countless historical, mathematical, and linguistic mistakes, it would be better to publish a text with a new title and corrections. It would better serve the original fathers of Freemasonry, enshrine them. Cushites like Nimrod the Ethiopian, son of Ham, Nubia, Sudan, the original Negroids, were never known by that name until the Greeks, Romans, and other Eurotypes changed it, who are now spread all over this planet, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, the tribe of Judah. The truth is being brought by an original Negroid Egyptian and Arab who really knows the past and present, who was also a Shriner. In fact, he is an imperial grand potentate. All right, guys. So in that same pamphlet I showed you guys with Dr. York in his full Freemasonry gear, I read that second page right next to it, where he's basically trying to say that he took all of his knowledge that he learned from Freemasonry and he put it into this book to basically influence God's people, the black Hebrew Israelites of Africa. He mentioned several parts of Africa, Ethiopia. He mentioned the Sudan. He mentioned Egypt. This is all Africa, black people. So he's saying he's going to take Freemason literature and influence black people with it, in particular, targeting Israelites. And that's, y'all know, if y'all been watching my content, y'all know that's when I start getting all riled up, because I was born Israelite. And if it's one thing that I hate, is when a demonic spirit makes it their mission in life to target and brainwash Israelites to follow the work of the devil, because that is exactly how and why Israelites got enslaved according to scripture. Following the Egyptians, following their practices, their customs, and their religions. And this is what all of these evil, wicked people always do. They always take the Bible and they try to reinterpret it to mean something different that's going to drag you to hell. Because God already told us in the scripture, don't have nothing to do with those Egyptians and the work of darkness. Okay? Here they come. Here they come. And here they sent one of their little spirits, Dre Bates 666. Okay? So let Dre Bates talk to himself. Nobody needs to debate or argue with him. I debated with him just a little bit, just to let him know you're under a program, you're brainwashed, it's bad for your eternal soul. Now that I've said that to him, if he wants to continue to do that, that's his business, okay? I'm not here to control anybody. I'm just here to give information. But I'm letting you guys know, Dr. York has said right here in his own words that he intends to bring Freemasonry to the black African people that are considered to be God's chosen people. He want to bring you the work of the devil. So here's another page from that pamphlet. It says the 5 points of sisterhood. Even spearheaded in the event of her husband's illness, in order to have the ability to perform his job as a man, she should also be domestic, and she should also be able to know how to cook, know how to sew in order to make clothes for her family, know how to clean, know how to operate all household machinery, know herbology and natural cures, know CPR, know how to type and utilize a computer. Her responsibility is to utilize her talents to support her family. All of that is good and well and fine. But these Freemasons and men in general, how many things can we make a list of that they know how to do that's within the roles and duties and responsibilities of being a man? That's the thing about these men that run these cults. They're very clear on how to enslave and control and dominate and manipulate a woman, but they have no standards for how they're supposed to carry themselves as men. Like I said, Dr. York had 100 different wives. He had 50 to 70 children. And after he went to jail, they were all left in the wind. There was no clear information, instruction, or money left for them to survive without him. So they know how to put you in a bad situation, because their whole goal in life is only to put themselves in a good position, in a good situation. He was rich and famous when he was out of jail. Soon as he went to jail, everything was just lost to the wind. And so were all of the people who followed him. Okay? And that's the thing with all of these devil worshipers. They promise you the world and they never deliver. And that's what happens with people who make deals with the devil. The devil promise you whatever you agree to at that moment in time. It never works out like that. Okay? I don't know why people can't put two and two together. Order of the Eastern Star. Freemasonry related fraternal organization. The Order of the Eastern Star is a Masonic appendant body open to both men and women. It was established in 1850 by lawyer and educator Rob Morris, a noted Freemason, and adopted and approved as an appendant body of the Masonic fraternity in 1873. So this is the symbol of the Eastern Star, which, if you pay attention, is also the Baphomet, the goat head devil, horns pointed up, and the chin would be pointed down. And the two triangles coming out the sides would be the ears. And so when people compare themselves to a 5-pointed star, such as this guy Dre Bates in my comment section say humans are 5-pointed stars. Yeah, the humans that worship the devil. Humans are not stars. We're humans in a human body. A star is a ball of fire, and stars are places that, according to scripture, God has imprisoned the fallen angels. So when you hear people say that humans are stars and people worship the stars and everybody is a star, this is a person under the indoctrination of the fallen angels who work for the devil. Okay, it's all demonic activity and language. So I exposed this woman, Darvad Sika, Test of Amen, Darvad Sika testimonial for Dr. Malachi Z. York. I exposed her. She's a lesbian who runs a cult in, I want to say, Arizona. She was telling women only to come to her cult and bring their children. And I had saw a video that she did years ago where she said she was putting her menstrual period blood in the soil that was growing the food for the people there to eat. Now, at the time that I saw the video, I was not a YouTuber. I was not making content. So I didn't take a screenshot or a timestamp. I never thought I would ever make a video and expose it. But of course, I was very alarmed. I was very disappointed that somebody would even want to do something like that. It was very disgusting. Like, ew, nobody wants to eat your blood. That's disgusting. Okay. So I did a video called Lesbian Blood Cults, and I exposed her and other lesbians that's operating on social media doing blood packs. And I was talking about how that's the work of the devil and stuff like that. So it turns out that this person also was endorsing Dr. York. She made this video. She says, "We must eat the womb to ascend." Okay, so she's probably talking about eating placenta, which is something that Jaguar Wright recently said about Erykah Badu. Jaguar said the reason why Erykah Badu became a doula and was delivering babies, that supposedly Erykah Badu delivered Summer Walker's babies, and Erykah has been promoting herself as a doula over the past few years. But Jaguar was saying the reason why Erykah was doing that is to get access to those women's placenta after they give birth, and to actually use the stem cells of the placenta to stay young. So witches would want to, use baby parts to stay young. So 2 years ago, I did this video, Lesbian Blood Cults, Zen Wombs and Daddy's Girl Cult. All right. And in that video 2 years ago, you see my face. People have a hard time with me not showing my face these days. They had a hard time when I was showing my face. People just want to have a hard time. Okay. There's my face. Anyway, 2 years ago, I exposed Sika, and I talked about how she was talking about putting her period blood in the soil of the land, of the food that she's feeding the women and children that go over there. But what I wanted to point out in this particular video is that she did a testimony for Malachi Z. York. So she's heavily influenced and a follower of Dr. York. And look how she turned out. A lesbian who's putting her blood in the soil and telling people we must eat the womb to ascend. Now, scripture specifically says in the laws, the statutes, and commandment that we cannot eat blood of any way, shape, form, or fashion. That's one of the many ways that you know that the New Testament and Jesus is fake, because Jesus tells people in the New Testament to eat his blood and his flesh. That's a specific violation of the laws, statutes, and commandments that God gave the Israelites in the first 5 books. Nobody is supposed to be eating blood. That means your steak should be well done. You should not be eating any blood. People disobey God. They do what they want to do, and they suffer the consequences. Eating blood could lead to you getting parasites and worms and maggots in your system. And who knows? Because, if you're eating like some really bloody steak, it could cause some type of genetic mixing of your DNA with that animal. Who knows? But when God says don't do something, that means don't do it. Don't take it upon yourself that, oh, I'm going to do it anyway, because there's a consequence, right? That's the reason why God said don't do it. So just really quickly, I want to remind you guys, like the video, share the video, subscribe, support. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Leilani for God. My Cash App is Leilani for God. My PayPal is Leilani for God at Gmail, or you can hit the link in the comment section. Let me post it again. Here are some links to where you guys can either donate or join my Patreon or join my YouTube memberships. The point of the donations and the memberships is because I've started a campaign to get predators off of YouTube and social media. So we need stuff. I need a new laptop to do the work because my laptop is old. So it's slow and blah, blah, blah. We need a website, and we will need to have ongoing access to people who can do thumbnails and memes and things like that for us, so that our campaigns can get noticed and people will join and spread the word. We have to run a professional campaign. We can't do it raggedy. So I ask people to donate and support by joining my memberships on YouTube and Patreon so that I could do the work and I could do it better and faster. Okay? Because we see that these cults, every time we take down one cult leader, another one pops up. So that's why it's important that we start a movement to stop them. It just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. And these cult leaders operate for several years before the people are able to get them removed. So if we have an organization like the one that I've just started to get predators off of social media, they won't be able to grow and go viral and make millions of dollars to buy land just to enslave people into demonology and devil worship. So I was able to find this on Google, this picture, which is the same picture inside of the pamphlet that I own, that I showed you guys a few minutes ago. But the picture cut out all of the words that were on the bottom, and a grandmaster and all of that stuff. But at the top, it says Master Moorish Science. So they redacted all of the Freemason stuff that's at the bottom in my book, and instead they replaced it with Moorish Science. So they're saying that he's a Moor. Okay. So I also debunked the Moors. Moorish equals Freemason controlled opposition. Ancient free Moorish rite. Freemasonry has ever established bonds of brotherhood with men of good character from all races, creeds, and walks of life, helping them to become better men. So you have this organization called the Moorish Science Temple, and what else? They have another one that's Canaan Land Moors. Anyway, these people are groups of black people who they put themselves out there like they're historians and scholars, like they're just researching the history of black people in America and in the world. And so if you're a person like me, you're into studying and books and history, you could be sucked into one of those groups. But really, they're Freemasons. It's another type of cult that was started by a Mason that teaches philosophies that are leading you absolutely nowhere, leading you straight to hell at the end of the day. But while you're still alive, they just talk a lot. They're not doing anything productive in the black community. All right. Somebody put this comment into one of my videos. They said, what a lot of people don't know is when Dr. York went to jail, they took hundreds of children from that land. We don't know where those children are, but I bet they do. A lot of them are in the industry, and you just don't know who they are. They mentioned Dr. York believes a lot of these people are connected, and they came from that cult. They were taken from their mother, and they were all placed together. A lot of them were being nursed by women that weren't their mother. So a lot of these demonic people are coming from Dr. York's camp. I said, you are making a lot of good points. I found some information on Dr. York, and we'll do a video on him soon. I hope you don't mind if I use your comment in that video because I think it's important. And they said, okay, sure, the truth has to come out. So, basically, this person is saying that when the police went and took Dr. York off the land and they arrested him, there was like hundreds of children there. But the way that Dr. York had his land set up, The women were housed in one part of the land. The men were housed on another part of the land. And the children were housed on a third different part of the land. So the mothers of the children and the fathers of the children were not allowed to directly parent their children. They had some type of structure where the adults that interacted with the children were not their parents. Okay? And when you have that level of separation, that of course would enable somebody like what Dr. York is now imprisoned of the accusations of taking advantage of those children sexually. And this person was also saying in her comment, not only were there hundreds of children there who were raised separate from their parents, but a lot of those children may have ended up in the music industry or just in the entertainment industry in general. And this person is correct. A lot of people in the industry, even white people and black people, grew up in cults, different types of cults. And they still participate in different type of cults once they become celebrities. It's a lot of them. That person was absolutely right. This is also from Google, Wikipedia. Dwight York, also known as Malachi Z. York, is an American criminal, black supremacist, pedophile, convicted child molester, musician, and writer, best known as the founding leader of several black Muslim groups in New York. So that's why he was convicted, for doing bad stuff to children. So you have this person on YouTube who keeps posting videos about Dr. York like he doesn't believe Dr. York is a bad person at all. He's posting some old videos of Dr. York in his full Egyptian costume. Okay. Dr. York old lecture about Bible study. A Dr. York old lecture about what is sin. All right. So sin is clearly defined in the Bible, but these are the type of so-called lessons that people that are at the level of masonry, that they get to go out and form their own cults. They always like try to reinterpret or misinterpret the Bible, and they always try to reinterpret or misinterpret what is sin. I've seen these kind of videos on YouTube, even ones that's not done by Dr. York. Even white men make these kind of videos. They're all influenced by their participation in some type of Masonic lodge. This is what they do. They try to tell you, oh, the words in the Bible mean something different than what it means. If you can read what the words in the Bible say, you can figure out for yourself. But these people lie to you and tell you, just like this guy in my comment section, Dre Bates, he says Dr. York is not really in jail. Well, Dre Bates, if you can't prove that, you're just brainwashed. Prove to us that Dr. York is not really in jail. Because when he was not really in jail, he was on the land with all of these people walking around, and he was having 80 kids with 100 different women. So prove to us the man is not really in jail. But what I'm saying to you guys is, even if you do a search on YouTube, you will find a whole lot of people are lying on the Bible and telling you a different definition for the word sin. When God made it very clear and very obvious and very straightforward, it's not written in no type of funny language. The original sin was Adam and Eve being disobedient to the will of God, being rebellious. Period. It's very simple. Over the years, different religious people who read the Bible, they said, well, based on like the whole Bible, they created the 7 deadly sins. So there's no scripture that says, oh, these are the 7 deadly sins. But the people who created the 7 deadly sins, they pulled it out from the Bible, meaning there's different scriptures that warn you, that will tell you, don't overeat because you will become sick and lazy, and, it could lead to an early death. There's scriptures that say like, everybody has to work. Don't be lazy. So the 7 deadly sins are based on various Bible scriptures that tell you don't involve in these type of bad behaviors that some humans, we sit back and watch people who do these bad behaviors and we see it's to their detriment. right? So even the seven deadly sins, even though there's not a specific scripture for it, it does refer to scriptures that say, don't do these things to an extreme. Don't overdo these bad behaviors, because it becomes a bad habit and becomes your character, right? So sin is defined all throughout the Bible, all different types of bad behaviors that humans engage in. And we're all different. So we don't all sin the same way. My sin is not the next person's sin. I do something bad, people are going to be like, Leilani, you doing something bad. They do something bad, I'm going to be like, you're doing something bad. Like, we all have sin, but we all have to overcome that, because it's about being selfish and doing what we want to do, regardless of if it's harmful to ourselves and to other people. Here's an Erykah Badu verse that shows that she was influenced by Dr. York. This is from the song On and On. So I'm going to read a little bit, just a little bit. She says, "You're rushing to destruction 'cause you don't have nothing left. The mothership can't save you, so your ass is gonna get left. If we were made in his image, then call us by our names. Most intellects do not believe in God, but they fear us just the same." Okay, so y'all heard that before. I just want to point out that this one little part here, the mothership can't save you, so your ass is gonna get left. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, Dr. York claims to be a 33rd degree / 720 degree Freemason. Erykah Badu had a 720 tattoo on her arm in the video. I didn't think about it before I put this together, or else I would have showed you guys a picture. Anyway, but in the lyrics, she's saying the mothership can't save you, so your ass is going to get left. That's the philosophy that Dr. York was pushing at the time that Erykah Badu was coming out with this music in like the 90s. He was teaching that a mothership was going to come in 1995 and pick up all of the righteous black people, and then the planet Earth was going to get destroyed. So it made people fearful as one of their reasons for joining his cult. And the fact that Erykah Badu was like putting this type of information out there at that time for those black people who were learning about Dr. York, being as she became popular and this song became a hit, a lot of people were influenced that, oh, I should get with Dr. York because he's telling the truth. Now, mind you, we're in 2023. Obviously, the mothership didn't come. It did not pick up Erykah Badu. It didn't pick up Dr. York. It didn't pick up all of Dr. York's followers. So, and the planet didn't get destroyed. That's called a false prophet. When somebody comes out and says, oh, I have a prophecy, the world's going to get destroyed by this year, and like it doesn't happen, that's a false prophet. So we could call Dr. York mentally ill, but obviously his beliefs would indicate that he was demon possessed. Let me see how you guys are doing in the comment section. Hey, Virtuous. Virtuous said, and guys, the Patreon is well worth it. I got to do my evil laugh. Yes, I go in on Patreon. If you guys think I talk a lot and give y'all a lot of information on YouTube, my Patreons, they get everything. They get the whole thing. So I don't play on Patreon. Yes, Kenyatta, the book of Leviticus stated about eating pork is not good for human consumption. Absolutely true. Also shellfish. But also, it's in, I want to say Leviticus, that you cannot eat blood because it's in the laws. And Leviticus is one of the books of the laws. So if Leviticus have the dietary laws, then that's where you'll find we can't eat blood. So I mean, all our steak and burgers got to be well done, cooked. Shell said kids should not be getting sick and stuff like that. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Ann said, off what land? Where was this? And I believe they were in Georgia. Just like, yep, and just like Jim Jones. Absolutely. They buy. See, the thing is, they tell their weird philosophies and people believe it, and people give them all their money and follow them. And they turn out to be false prophets. Like whatever their prophecy was, that something's going to happen by a certain time, and you have to get with me in order to be safe and protected. It's fear tactics. It's fear mongering. And says they must have really ate meat in the garden because we unalive animals to eat meat. In my last live, Ann, I was saying that, in my opinion, Adam and Eve were raw fruitarians in the Garden of Eden. They only ate fruit from the trees. When they disobeyed God and got kicked out of the Garden of Eden, I said at that point, in my opinion, is where they started to eat meat, because it takes like months to grow a seed to the point where you could eat it. So the only thing they would have been able to eat quickly was meat. But scripture does say that the angels taught Adam and Eve how to eat. So that would mean the angels told them, oh, you can eat these fruits and berries out in the wilderness. It's not the Garden of Eden, but these things are edible. But I feel that Adam and Eve started eating meat because it takes a long time to grow food. To grow a fruit tree takes years. True Empress said, a lot of people are lying like a mofo out here. You got to do research for yourself and for your mental awareness. It is true. And that's the sad thing. Then these people are lying to you so that they can take advantage of you sexually and monetarily. That's all they care about. What do I need to say to you to get you to believe in me so I can take advantage of you? It's so sad and pathetic. So sad. Dre Bates said, mothership, more metaphors. That's not true, Dre. Dr. York really told them that a real spaceship was going to come and take them up, like physically, because he said the world was going to be destroyed. So he was basically saying, you have to believe in him, do what he says, eat the diet that he promotes, live on his land, live his way, in order for you to be, like, I guess, chosen by the mothership. If you didn't do everything he said, the mothership was not going to pick you up. So he was not using a metaphor. Virtuous, just like Rashad Jamal, another false prophet. I'm going to talk about Rashad Jamal towards the end of this video as well. Yes, true Empress. Yep, people want to believe in something. All right, back to the video. So, people got hooked into Dr. York because it seemed like he was pro-black. A lot of people like that, especially at that time. Music was going back in a very pro-black direction, like when it first started. Another thing was Dr. York was saying, you guys have to believe in me to get picked up by the mothership like Jesus. If you don't believe in me, you're not going to make it to God. So that makes people feel very anxious and nervous and worried. These are strategies, marketing tactics. It's called fear of missing out, FOMO. When we watch commercials on TV and they say, oh, it's a sale. It's a Thanksgiving Day sale. 30% off. Do it now. It's like they make you feel like you have to quickly buy because you're going to miss out on the discount, So it's a strategy, a marketing strategy to get you all wound up. So here I looked up Dr. York, the Mothership, because this is just a lyric from Erykah Badu's song On and On. And just to prove to you that she was referencing Dr. York, I just did a quick Google search. Dr. York and the Mothership, and then they made a reference to a whole bunch of YouTube videos where people talked about Dr. York's teachings on the Mothership. So this is just a little bit of proof to show you guys that that she was referencing Dr. York when she said that. The person who made Erykah Badu famous in the industry was a guy named Keter Massenberg, and he is related to Dr. York. But he has scrubbed that information off the internet because he has become successful in his own right, and he doesn't want to be associated with Dr. York since Dr. York is in jail for pedophilia. But Keter Massenberg, it says at the top, he was a district manager for the PepsiCo Corporation, and he was over Motown Records. It says here he signed and promoted artist Erykah Badu. And he was named the president of Motown label and the senior vice president of the parent company Universal Records. So Keter is a black man. So for him to have so much power that he was a district manager in PepsiCo and he made it to become the president of Motown and a senior vice president of Universal Records, he's very, very deep into the music industry, and all of the dark stuff that goes on behind closed doors. Okay, because we all know Erykah Badu is a witch, and people in the music industry perform satanic rituals over the music before they release it. Like it's part of their strategy for, hypnotizing people into buying it. Like it's not about the talent; it's about the energy harvesting. Woo-hoo-hoo, ha 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 ha. Anyway, these people are crazy. It says at the bottom, Keter Massenberg's former 2-acre estate in New Jersey is back on the market. Okay, so it says he helmed Motown Records and built the house shortly after landing the job. So he built the big house and now he's selling it. So I guess the money isn't the same anymore. Keter Massenberg, Wikipedia. William Keter Massenberg is an American record producer, label exec who was president of Motown, is best known for bringing Erykah Badu to fame. He trademarked the term neo soul. Okay, so we consider Erykah Badu and, Jill Scott, and who else was out during their time? India Arie, Music Soul Child. I can't remember anybody else right now. Okay, so they were like the neo soul movement, right? And it was good. It was good music. I'm not gonna lie on them. They made good music, right? But I was not able to find on Google the connection between Kedar and Dr. York. But like I said, I believe Kedar is one of Dr. York's sons or relatives, like one of his nephews or something like that. And I believe the reason why you can't find the connection between Kedar and Dr. York is because Kedar, obviously having very high industry connections, was able to scrub that information off the internet since Dr. York got in prison for pedophilia. So I watched a video on YouTube where recently, just a few days ago, Jaguar Wright says Erykah Badu is a witch. So I did a video about Erykah Badu being a witch on my channel several months ago. I think the video was called Halloween, Witchcraft, and Erykah Badu. And I was showing you guys how all of the symbolism is tied together. So basically, I put a comment under that video where I said, Badu admitted to being a witch on her own social media. But the thing is, Jaguar just admitted to being a witch too, on 2 different platforms here on the YouTubes over the past few days. She said she's into hoodoo, sage, and going to the river. Jaguar said she did a ritual with her husband Goomba that involved them smoking a mixture of her son's ashes and drops of her blood in order to bind their souls forever. And someone replied to me, they said exactly. She now claims to be a priestess and a doula. I don't see why it's negative when it comes to Erykah, but not Jag. She stays contradicting herself. So basically, this person was also adding to what I was saying, that not only has Jaguar admitted to being a witch, but things that she criticized Badu for, like being a doula, Jag, and being a priestess or voodoo, Jag is now saying those things about herself. And Jag has been saying those things about herself ever since she hooked up with Carbonation. Before she hooked up with those Carbonation people, Jag was saying that part of her exposing the industry was to expose the witchcraft, and that she's not with that. And she doesn't want to have anything to do with the witchcraft and the rituals. Jag says she paid something like $60,000 to get out of the music industry so she wouldn't be spiritually tied to the rituals. And that's why at first I was like behind Jaguar, and I was like kind of supporting her and trying to like be like, yeah, Jaguar's exposing the industry and stuff like that. Like when she first came out, I was like, yeah, she's right. Because she is right. All this stuff really, really, really is happening in the background that we don't know about. It's creepy. It's like a scary movie. And I'm moving to a different room because all of a sudden, all of this noise started coming from outside. where I was. Let me try to find a quieter part of the house to talk to you guys from. Okay, it's quieter in this room. So basically, um, right. So this person made a video a few days ago saying Jaguar is saying Erica Badu is a witch. But meanwhile, hello, just a couple of days ago, Jaguar now is saying that she's a witch too. And I had called it out in a lot of my videos. Like after I did the video on Halloween and Erica Badu and witchcraft, like within like a month or two after that, I did videos showing how Jaguar was doing hand signs and what was she doing? All of the people that she was working with on YouTube for a while were all people who were saying that they went into witchcraft. It was a couple of people. It wasn't just like one. And even now, she found somebody that she's working with on another app. I don't know what the name of it is. But I was reading the comments because Jaguar was like, oh, this is my little brother or something like that. So I was reading the comments and people were saying he does witchcraft. He does magic and rituals on his social media, like on his Instagram. He promotes himself as a witch. And I'm like, damn, how does Jaguar, like, she intentionally seeks out people that do witchcraft and she tries to work with them. So it's like 2 years ago when Jaguar first came out, she said, I don't want anything to do with this. And now she just can't get away from it. She's forcing herself to keep trying to collaborate with people. And all of the people that she's collaborated with that do witchcraft on YouTube have turned against her and they've cursed her in their witchcraft stuff. So it's like, I don't understand why these people can't put two and two together. It does not work. Like working for the devil, it never pays off. So let me check the comments and see how you guys are doing. It looks like okay. I can't even talk about the jab shell because that's the only time I ever got in trouble on YouTube was talking about the jab. I kept being hard-headed and I kept talking about it over and over again and they kept getting me, so I almost lost my channel. Never hungry again. So they hate on Jesus, but always waiting on the mothership. You're right, never hungry again. And to be honest with you, even though I don't believe in Jesus, I would rather people believe in Jesus than the mothership. I mean, at least Jesus told people to worship God. You know, the whole mothership thing is like, you don't believe in God at all. Okay. All right. I see what y'all saying. So Jaguar did an interview with Storm 2 years ago, and the title of the video says Jaguar Wright confirms satanic something in music and tells hoodoo house story. So this is one of many examples where Jaguar was exposing witchcraft and in a way that would suggest that she does not agree with it and she doesn't want to have nothing to do with it and it's bad and it's wrong. Right? And that was 2 years ago. Now, fast forward, Jaguar is all about it. She's saying that she goes to Louisiana. She goes to the river. She said she put her drops of blood in her son's ashes and rolled it up, and her and Goomba smoked it to bind their souls forever. She's directly, openly admitting to doing witchcraft now. So it's like, I don't know. It's so messy because I think people don't, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. I just think that people think the devil is going to give them a fast result. That if they do these things, you know, because in the past on my channel, when I have talked about witchcraft, I gave an example. I said, this was a long time ago, like a year ago. I said, when women do witchcraft on men to try to make the man stay with them, what happens is the men become like restless. Their spirits become restless. Like when women do love spells, like, oh, make this man stay with me and love me forever. And they do spells to infringe on that man's right to free will. What happens is the men become toxic. And a lot of times, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube about this. Women do witchcraft on the men romantically, and the men try to kill them eventually. The men become jealous, they become angry, they become possessive, they just become like their spirit just becomes so restless, and they eventually start abusing the woman and try to kill her. Like the level of obsession goes through the roof. And that's a side effect of women doing witchcraft on men. Now, of course, no, I'm not saying every time we see in the news a woman got killed by her husband or her boyfriend that, oh, she did witchcraft on him. No, I'm saying there are very, very specific stories of women doing witchcraft on men. And that's the reason why they turn possessive to the point where they did or tried to kill the woman. So Jaguar admitted to doing witchcraft on Goomba. Look what happened towards the end of their relationship. Her and Goomba were physically fighting. And it just got to a level to where Goomba said he thought Jaguar was trying to kill him. And then Jaguar was saying, no, Goomba was trying to kill her. And, they both accused each other of the same thing. But Jaguar admitted to doing witchcraft on him. So knowing what I know about the spirit realm and how that backfires, Jaguar's story is typical of women who, deal with witchcraft. Okay. So I'm reading the comments. So here, moving on. This guy, Brother Polite, he's about to turn himself into jail. He's accused of molesting a minor. He tried to become a Dr. York. He says that Dr. York is his spiritual father. And he said he doesn't care if Dr. York molested kids or not. He will still consider Dr. York to be his spiritual father no matter what. And when Polite said that, he said that to the face of a victim. This man that Polite is meeting with in the park agreed to meet with Polite. They agreed to have their conversation filmed. The guy in the green shirt was telling Polite, Dr. York molested him. He's saying, this happened to me. He did it to me. Okay? And he told Polite, the quote on the screen from the closed captioning says, like I told you, both me and my sisters went through the same thing. So he's saying not only was he molested by Dr. York, but his sisters were too. And this goes back to why they would separate the housing for the women, the men, and the children on Dr. York's compound, so he could have access to the men, the women, and children however he wanted to. All right. So this man met with Polite to tell Polite, Dr. York really did do this. I'm a victim. Just like this guy in my comment section who was relentless, Dre Bates 666. He's standing up for Dr. York in my comment section. But Dre Bates, you need to go back and watch this video. It says Brother Polite defends Dr. York while interviewing his victim. So it doesn't matter how much this guy told Polite that he is a direct and personal victim of being molested by Dr. York when he was just a child. Polite was like, okay, even if what you're saying is true, I'm still going to love, respect, and uphold Dr. York. Just like this man in my comment section, Dre Bates 666. What is wrong with these men? Like, this is crazy. So right below that, there's a YouTuber by the name of Langston. He said, Brother Polite cops a plea just like Dr. Malachi Z. York. So above that, when Polite was telling the man he doesn't care if Dr. York molested him. He's like, I don't care. I'm still going to love and hold Dr. York up to a high level for me. It was more than 6 years ago. The video was posted 6 years ago, but I think this conversation happened like 10 years ago, for real, in real life. Just 2 months ago, Langston made this video. Brother Polite cops a plea just like Malachi Z. York. So 10 years after Polite said he doesn't care if Dr. York molested kids, now, 10 years later, Polite is now about to turn himself into jail before this year is out on an accusation of molesting a child. Here's another guy who endorsed Dr. York. He didn't like do it as blatantly as Brother Polite, but in his talks he used to be like, "Oh yeah, Dr. York was a leader doing his thing for the community." He didn't accept that Dr. York was a bad person who hurt people. Guess what? Now Rashad Jamal is in jail. For what? He just got sentenced for 16 years. For what? Molesting a child. You know, Brother Polite and Rashad Jamal, they both got on YouTube and they start teaching these Freemasonic, demonic, spiritual beliefs that are only designed to prosper themselves, right? And they were able to both amass large followings on social media, on YouTube and the other platforms that they're on. They all had like, you know, 100,000 followers, videos that go viral, and all they talking about is this devil knowledge. And now they're both in jail behind molesting children. Below that, it says alleged cult leader arrested on charges including rape in DeKalb County. Below that, that's a reference to Nature Boy, who also had positive things to say about Dr. York, who also was trying to be polygamous just like Dr. York, who also was telling people to move from wherever they live to the land where he's at because of some type of weird philosophy that he made up, just like Dr. York. And now Nature Boy is in jail fighting a rape charge. So it's really interesting how when these guys actually endorse Dr. York and then they then use that energy to try to become cult leaders themselves, they turn into the same exact person that Dr. York is accused of being as to why he's in jail now. Taking advantage of children, sexual deviancy, financial crimes, fraud, mismanagement of money. All these guys want to do is just like make themselves feel like they're powerful. They don't care about the people. But they're, of course, when they are, recruiting people, they definitely put out there like, oh, like they love the people. They're there for the community. They're trying to build a better future. But the reality is they just trying to like get what they can get to make their heaven on earth right now. And to be honest with you, you could enjoy your life right now on earth. Earth is not hell. You could really have a good experience of being alive, being excited to be alive, being inspired if you just had a relationship with God. You would wake up like, I got things to do. Like, I'm so happy. I'm inspired. Not like, oh, I'm upset. I wish I didn't have to get out of bed. Like some people, they just complain too much because they don't have a relationship with God. When you realize that God made everything for good, you start to feel inspired. What can I do? What can I do? Like that's me. I'm like, what can I do? I'm always like feeling creative, having ideas and doing stuff. I just do a lot of stuff. I have a lot of energy. And I know it's because of my relationship with God. Because when I talk to my friends and I talk to people, they just don't have a lot of energy. And it's like, you could have a lot of energy. You just don't believe in God. All right. It says here in the news, Fox 10 News, 1 year ago, man accused of killing mom with samurai sword, watch conspiracy videos. This guy was watching Rashad Jamal content. And he wind up killing his mother with a samurai sword. Below that is a reference again to Nature Boy and his carbonation cult. I'm the return of the Christ. Alleged cult leader arrested in DeKalb County. So one of the members of Nature Boy's cult, daughter, who stabbed mother to death, belonged to carbonation cult. So somebody from Rashad Jamal's cult killed his mom with a samurai sword. And somebody who belonged to Nature Boy's cult stabbed her mother to death. Guys, all of this stuff is about to get me demonetized. That just reminded me. I'm monetized now, guys. If y'all want to, y'all could send me a super chat or a super sticker. Or you could join memberships on my YouTube channel, or you could join my Patreon. The information I put on my YouTube memberships, I'm also going to post on my Patreon. So for all my Patreons, y'all going to get the information I post on YouTube as well. The reason why I started YouTube memberships is because some people, they don't want to leave YouTube to go to my Patreon. They want the information, but they just, and I understand that. Like, they're like, listen, we're on YouTube. I just want to stay on YouTube. I don't want to go to other places to find you. That's just how some people are, right? So the same information, well, let me put it like this. On my YouTube memberships, I'm going to be exposing YouTubers by name, giving you guys rants and stories about stuff that's going on, and giving y'all more details and background information on me. And I'm going to post the videos that I put for the page for my YouTube members at the $6.99 level. Anything I put there, I'm also going to put on my Patreon for all my Patreons. So y'all not going to miss any information by having joined Patreon. Okay? But the YouTube, they're not going to get everything I post on Patreon. Okay? Because some of my Patreons are board members. And my board members, they get 100% of everything that I put out across every platform. My board members get everything. They're the only ones that's going to get everything is my board members on Patreon. But if you on my YouTube, you'll get my YouTube information and stuff, and you will know a lot of stuff. Okay? Things that you want to know. I can't say a lot of things that I used to say on my YouTube channel because I have a lot of people following me now that are very young. I have kids, teenagers, people in their early 20s. I have a lot of professional people following me, people who are very civilized, okay? Because y'all be emailing me and y'all are very civilized and professional. But I'm also doing a new social media campaign to get predators off the internet. So I can't turn up on YouTube like I used to, y'all. I can't be screaming and yelling and calling people retarded and stuff and cursing people out like I used to. It was fun. It was fun while it lasted. But I can't do it. I got to be professional because there's real professional people following me now and young people. And I don't want the kids to be acting crazy like I be acting on YouTube. I was doing it for entertainment, you know, just making y'all laugh and having a good time and getting stuff off my chest. But, you know, now that I'm doing a campaign, I have to be a better person. I have to be more professional, which is understandable. You would not want somebody leading a campaign to get people off, like predators off social media, and you come to my channel and I'm cursing people out. So I hope y'all enjoyed it while it lasted. If y'all want to hear me go off on people, y'all gonna have to join my YouTube membership at $6.99 or join my Patreon, because that's the only way you're gonna get it. To tell you the truth, you probably would get the most dirt if you join my YouTube membership at $6.99. That's where you're gonna get the most dirt, if that's what you want. But like I said, I can't keep acting up on YouTube now that we have a serious mission. All right, so I hope y'all understand. Okay. It says, it was mental and verbal abuse. Former cult member speaks out after leader's arrest. Talking about Nature Boy's cult. So even though Nature Boy was talking all of this black power, knowledge, healthy eating, come live on the land with me, I'll take care of you. People got there. They were physically, emotionally, verbally, and sexually abused. Just like a lot of people said about Dr. York's cult. And Nature Boy used to endorse Dr. York. The same YouTuber Langston. The reason why I keep referring to him, because I mentioned a couple of his videos earlier in this video. He was a member of Dr. York's cult. This guy Langston, he was one of the guys that was out on the street selling the books. At the beginning of the video, when I showed you guys, I had those two little pamphlets that showed that Dr. York was a Freemason. Langston, this guy, he would be one of the guys that would have been outside on the sidewalk selling those books and handing all the money over to Dr. York like a prostitute. How do you sell your body all day and give somebody else the money? Where's your brain? But anyway, and it's funny because there's prostitutes that are harassing me now on YouTube. Like, where is their brain? Where is their brain? Anyway. So Langston, he made more videos. He did this video 4 years ago. Dr. York and Nature Boy exposed. He saw the similarity between Nature Boy's behavior, his philosophy, his call to action. He knew that Nature Boy was mimicking Dr. York. Below that, Langston made another video. He said Dr. York and Nature Boy are the same. So once again, Langston, having been a member of Dr. York's cult, he's able to now see, now that he's free from Dr. York's brainwashing, he's able to sit back and say, I see how, this new guy is basically imitating this old guy. And so just to remind you guys what predators are, and they're followers, right? They stalk, they dox, they hack people's finances, their email accounts, their social media. They release people's names, addresses, phone numbers, their nude pictures, their jobs, their hospitals, their appointments, churches, everything, credit reports, their travel plans. They target, expose, and contact friends, family members. They record people. They call people's homes and schools. They call their children's schools and family members' churches. They threaten people, blackmail people, expose people, and they never apologize. Instead, their evilness is rewarded with clicks, views, and cash donations by their audience and boots on the ground from other predators. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want to remind you guys, support the work that I'm doing to build a campaign to get predators off social media. You can join my Patreon. You can join my YouTube. You can donate to my Cash App or my PayPal. Actually, let me post it again in the chat. And now this channel, Leilani Forgot, is monetized. So if you guys want to, you can send super chats or super stickers and stuff like that if you want to, or you can send it to my PayPal or Cash App. So the reason why I keep mentioning that is to help you guys understand I'm not just talking. I want to actually do something. Because in my lifetime, I've sat back and watched. Every time one cult leader goes down, another one pops up and continues his mission. Or her pops up and continues the mission. And this is an ongoing struggle. So if we have a group of people that we're dedicated towards exposing this quickly, hopefully these people will not be allowed to operate for so many years and like traumatize so many people. Like, these people leave these cults, they're completely broken. They're like dead. And when they leave, then they start to look like alive again, but they're still emotionally and spiritually broken. And it's because of how much time that these cult leaders were able to do whatever they wanted to do to them, mentally, physically, sexually, financially. Even though they put themselves in slavery, it's not okay. It's not acceptable. And the funny thing is, these people have the biggest followings. They get like 100,000 followers and more, like real quick. It's crazy. People love following these demonic spirits. It's the weirdest thing ever. Speaking of that, so there's a woman on YouTube named LaShonda Wisdom Quarter. She's done a bunch of interviews on YouTube exposing Jaguar right. She said that when Jaguar was starting her WCW, women, I don't know what the C stands for, women caring for women, something like that. So a couple of years ago, okay, so this video at the top is AT2, Jaguar Right phone call with mom, and LaShonda Wisdom speaks out. So this guy, hey Ann, thank you for joining. Okay, welcome to Crazy Situations and Rants. And I said I was not going to talk about this, but since you joined, just for you, Anne, because I like you. You actually, Anne is a good YouTuber, guys. And she does her research. She edits her videos. She proves her point. She points out stuff, and I respect her work. I like her work. I'm subscribed to Anne. I like Anne as a YouTuber, and I've told her that before now. I'm not just saying that because she just became a member. But Anne, girl, because it's you, and you the first person that joined, and I like you, girl. Trust me, I'm gonna give you a good. I'm gonna give you a good video. I'm gonna tell you some stuff about these YouTubers. I'm gonna tell you exactly which two prostitutes is harassing me, why they harassing me, and I'm gonna name all the other YouTubers that I feel like I feel like I'm trying to be quick, but I'm trying to give y'all a little bit of tea. Okay, what can I be responsible for? I'm very shady. I talk about a lot of people. I say a lot of things, and I think that some people are mad at me. Like, I'm gonna show y'all something at the end of the video. I did a poll today, and I said how many. I said, oh, like, Leilani, I'm gonna be there for the live, and I put Leilani, I'm mad at you. I was joking, but people clicked it. People voted. People voted that they're mad at me. So I said, okay. I feel like people are mad at me because sometimes I make shady comments about other YouTubers, and some people think I'm talking about them, but I'm not talking about them, but they're guilty of what I'm talking about. So I think that's why they get mad at me, and they make shady comments about me, but they don't say my name. They don't be like, oh, Leilani forgot or whatever, but they say shady stuff, and I'm like, I'm not beefing with you. I was beefing with somebody else, but you think I'm talking about you because you're guilty of what I'm talking about. So it's just a whole lot of weird shit going on in the background. I would love to get it off my chest. So everybody thank Anne because she just became my first member at the $6.99. So I'm going to give her what she came for and name a bunch of YouTubers that I think are mad at me and why they being shady towards me. And some of them I have beef with and some of them I don't. There's people I don't have beef with, but they think I'm talking about them, but I'm not. So it's weird, but I would love to talk about it. So thank Anne. She's going to get the real truth. They thought it was a real poll. Who's mad at Leilani? I laughed so hard when I saw that people voted for that. I thought that was so funny. But I get it. I get it. They're mad at me because they think I'm talking about them, but I'm not. You're just guilty. You just have a guilty conscience. Anyway, sorry guys. I'm ranting. Okay, let's get back to it. So now I'm getting into the part of the video where I'm bringing all of this stuff together about what does Jaguar Wright have to do with Malachi York. Now, like I said earlier, Jaguar Wright have said repeatedly that she was supposed to marry one of Dr. York's sons. And this would have been when Dr. York was free. So if he was arrested, according to the Wikipedias I read to you guys, I think it said Dr. York was arrested in 2004. If he was arrested in 2004, then Jaguar would have been, because she said she was promised to one of his sons or betrothed or some word that means like, I mean, when you get to that level, that means, there's been conversations. It would mean that Dr. York would have known about it, that, this is like a process of, what is it called? Oh man, what is it called? People do it in other cultures when they match the people. What is it called, y'all? When they match people. Oh man. Arranged marriage. Thank you, Shell. Yes, the way Jaguar describes that she was supposed to marry one of Dr. York's sons, she uses language that would imply that it would have been an arranged marriage. So assuming that she's telling the truth, that would indicate that she was close to the Dr. York people. The only way you can get close to them is to go to their meetings and read the books and speak their language. You have to invest in them. They're not open to the public. That's the thing about cults. You have to really show them that you're down with them to be really cool with them. So to some degree, she was willing to go along with their program. Now, I'm not saying that she knew what Dr. York was doing to them kids. I'm not saying that at all, because that was a long time ago. So she would have been, I don't know how many years ago that was, 20 years younger than she is now. So she would have been in like her mid 20s. So I'm not saying that she was a bad person, anything like that. I'm just saying that she's connected to these people. So she was indoctrinated. To get close enough to marry one of the sons, you would have had to agree with the philosophies and the indoctrination. Let's fast forward 2 years ago. Jaguar writes phone call with mom. LaShonda Wisdom speaks out. So this woman, LaShonda Wisdom Quarter, like I said, she did a whole bunch of interviews on YouTube. She repeatedly told her story about a short period of time when she let Jaguar and Goomba stay with her. And she said Jaguar was like telling her son that he didn't have to listen to her, LaShonda, his mom, that he should run away and go be with Jag, and that Jag was gonna build him a laboratory. Like, that sounds so crazy. Like, go take your medication, Jaguar. But she was telling, according to LaShonda, Jaguar was telling LaShonda's son that he was like really special, like a Jesus type of figure. Like, just, really exaggerated, kind of putting him up on a pedestal. He's like a teenager. And the lady said that when Jaguar was doing WCW, that Jaguar was not, that LaShonda was one of the people that Jaguar was recruiting to be like a leader inside of the WCW women's group. And LaShonda was saying that, Jaguar was not really keeping her word. Whatever Jaguar said she was going to do for the members, she wasn't really doing it. She was just like not showing up for the meetings as scheduled and not giving LaShonda any direction. So like if Jaguar started a women's group and she tells LaShonda, "Oh, I'm not going to be there at the meeting. I want you to be there for me." But she's not giving LaShonda no agenda, no information. It's just like abandonment. Just like, you're using me to fill in a space for you. I want to do it because I want to be a part of a woman's group, but you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're not keeping your word, upholding your end of the bargain. So that's turning me off. Why should I sit here and put money and time into something that you're not taking seriously? So Wisdom exposed a lot about Jaguar because Jaguar stayed with her for a little while. So the funny thing is AT2 exposed that. In my last video, I showed a video that AT2 exposed Jaguar 2 years ago as well for staying with someone and smoking something that smelled really bad, like not weed, like some bad hard drugs. That somebody else came on AT2 show and said Jaguar was doing that in their house. So it's funny because now Jaguar linked up with AT2. Recently, she's been giving him interviews and being, nice and friendly and buddy with him. Meanwhile, AT2 did mad videos exposing Jaguar. And then AT2 was like, everybody needs to stop talking about Jaguar. And now he's laughing and smiling in Jaguar's face. Very phony, very crazy. But that's neither here nor there. The reason I'm bringing this up is to say this woman, LaShonda Wisdom Quarter, has multiple interviews on YouTube from 2 years ago where she talks about her time with Jaguar and how Jaguar was not really, she's not really leading WCW the right way. And it just reminds me of the other cult leaders. They say they have this important mission, but that's not really what's going on. And now that I'm doing this thing with get predators off the internet, I'm asking people to work with me online. Everything you do with me will be done on the internet. I'm not asking you to move to my house, to my state, to my country, to my land. I'm not asking you to believe in anything other than the God who put your soul in your body. Whatever God that you believe put your soul in your body, that's the only God I ask you to worship. That's my only spiritual philosophy. I don't have no long story about my religious beliefs. It's very simple. God put my soul in my body. I worship God because of that reason. This is a miracle that I'm alive and I move around and have fingers and eyeballs and toes. I think it's amazing. So I feel God is worthy and deserving of praise because I think being alive is completely amazing. It's a miracle. The babies come out. I think it's a miracle. I think it's amazing. Like, I cannot explain this stuff. So I have to give glory to God. That's the whole total belief of my spiritual beliefs. Like, I believe in the first 5 books of the Bible, but I'm not telling people give up your whole life, your family, all your money, and be with me in person and kiss my feet and all type of slavery stuff. No. If you work with me, you only gonna work on the internet. You get mad at me, you log off. That's it. Anyway, let's move on. Jaguar right exposed by Miss Wisdom part 1. So 6 months ago, I don't know if Wisdom did another interview 6 months ago or if this person just discovered the old interviews. But I just want you guys to know that this lady Wisdom have, like I said, she let Jaguar stay with her in her home, and she was exposing Jaguar's character. So just because Jaguar could come on YouTube and say, I want to do a women's group and work with women, it sounds nice. But if you don't have a good character, if people just believe in you and go with you and go buy land with you and all of this stuff, eventually they're going to come out with these kind of stories. So below that, 2 years ago, Jaguar replied to LaShonda Wisdom Quarter saying, oh, these are your calls. So Jaguar leaked some phone calls that she had between her and Wisdom. The thing is, those phone calls did not make Wisdom look like a bad person at all. The calls were like, I don't know. The calls did not make Wisdom look bad. So I don't know what Jaguar's point was. She did not debunk or deny any of the things that Wisdom has said. Here's another person, another black woman who said that she met Jag in real life physically, spent time with her, hung out with her a few times. And Jag also asked this woman to be a part of her women's group, WCW. And the woman said the same thing. She said Jaguar abandoned the group. She told the group they were going to meet, I don't know, it was something like every Wednesday. Like, oh, if you tell people every Wednesday at 8 p.m., we're going to be on Zoom, but people go and you're not there, but you have LaShonda Wisdom Quarter and this woman, Tia B, being your, I don't know what it would be called. If you have meetings and you're not there, but you have other people filling for you, I guess they would be facilitators, like substitute teachers. I don't know. But Tia said the same thing. Jaguar was not actually being a leader. She was depending on the other women who wanted to help her, who believed in her, to step up and do the parts that she was supposed to do. And it's understandable if Jaguar would have just showed up for the meetings on time and been like, I'm here, how you guys doing? Today's meeting is going to be led by LaShonda. That's better than nothing. Then next week you come on, you say, hey, how you guys doing? Today's meeting is going to be led by Tia. That's understandable, but you just not going to show up. You got all these people just left in the dark. What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to do? What is the agenda? What are we trying to accomplish? But I remember Jaguar saying she wanted to buy land and have the women in WCW move from where they live to her land and grow their own food. And I don't know what else. I just know it involved moving to some land. And I'm like, Jaguar trying to start her own cult. But she's not even being present to even lead it. She want other people to lead it with no agenda. So it don't work like that. So this lady Tia B, she got mad at Jaguar because something happened to where she was in a car with Jaguar and Goomba. They hung out a few times. Jaguar did post live videos from her Instagram with Tia and Goomba. They went to like some restaurant after they went to the club. So usually if you go to the club and you go out to eat with somebody, that means you're cool with that person. That's a friend of yours. That's not a random stranger off the internet. So I have seen footage of Jag and Tia together that will lead me to believe that they're friends. So Tia went on Storm's show and she exposed that when after they had went out to the club and they went and got something to eat, and Goomba was supposed to be driving Tia home. Goomba and Jaguar got into a big argument, and Tia was in the back seat, and Jaguar and Goomba were in the front. And she said as Goomba was driving, they were screaming and yelling at each other, and Jaguar started hitting Goomba upside the head. And Tia said, pull the car over, let me out. Because if y'all are physically fighting while Goomba is driving, I'm not trying to like be a casualty of a car accident. So let me out. I'll walk the rest of the way home. So Tia said they let her out the car and she walked home. She said by the time she got home, Goomba was there waiting for her like, oh, I put Jag out the car. I need somebody to talk to. And Tia says she was like, I'm not getting involved in y'all mess. Y'all crazy. I'm not messing with y'all. So I'm not gonna keep this going. So I've been talking a lot. Let me check the comments and see how y'all are doing. Alrighty. Let's see. Anne said, I just ignored the ones who mad at me for no reason. True Empress, they thought it was a real poll. Who's mad at Leilani? True Empress, if you want to know who's mad at Leilani, I suggest you join either the YouTube membership at $6.99 or you join the board on Patreon. I will tell. It's entertainment at this point because I'm on here doing serious business. If I don't do nothing else, I'm just trying to tell people, give your heart to God so your eternal soul can go to heaven when you die. Simple. All of the stuff I be talking about is entertainment. I just used all of these characters to make the same point, right? Because these people are so crazy. They're proving the point that if you don't work for God, your life goes to hell before you die. Why go to hell now? If you work for God now, your experience of being alive is so much better. You'll be so much happier before you die. Okay? And then when you die, you'll still be happy. So I'm just saying, start now. Yes, and she couldn't even make it to a Zoom call. It's like, I could see if she gave people an agenda, but she wanted them to run the meeting with no agenda. Yes, and I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. Then she suddenly wanted Carbon Island after meeting the refugees from NB's cult. This stuff is all making sense now, and that's what this video is about. This is me connecting all of those dots. So quickly, before I move on from this, I just want to remind you guys what I was talking about. So when I move on, you will understand. Storm interviewed Tia B. Tia B said her and Jaguar was cool. Jaguar was not meeting her duties and obligations for WCW. Jaguar got into a fight with Goomba while they were driving Tia B home. Tia said, let me out. She walked home. Goomba was there telling Tia he needed somebody to talk to because he's so tired of Jag. Tia was like, I don't want nothing to do with y'all mess. And Tia stopped participating in WCW at that point because she felt like a lot of stuff happened. Oh, I just remembered something. Tia said in her interview with Storm that people were contacting Tia saying, I never got my order of Jaguar Wright's salve. Jaguar was promoting that she had some kind of CBD infused salve that would have been good for people's skin. Like if people had pain management, I don't know. Jag has some promotions for salve. People paid for the salve. and they never received it. So Tia said a whole bunch of those people were emailing her because Tia was leading WCW meetings in Jaguar's absence. And Tia said that because of the fact that she was showing up for Jaguar's meetings and Jaguar was not showing up for the Zoom meetings, people started to ask Tia, where's my money for the salve that I sent to Jaguar and I never got it? And Tia said that's the reason why she wound up, what's the word? Quitting WCW. Number one, Jag was not showing up. Number two, Jag's customers were starting to demand that Tia give them refunds. And Tia said, wait a minute, I'm just trying to hold on and put up a good face. But I don't have nothing to do with all of this mess. So that's what made Tia quit. Okay, guys? So if y'all find the interview, it says here, January 10th, 2023, Storm Monroe. The name of the video says Surviving Jaguar Right, Homelessness, Domestic Violence, Scams, and more. So at this time that Tia gave this interview to Storm, it was not in January of 2023. That's just when Storm released the interview. Storm did not release it until then because Tia was talking bad about Jaguar, and him and Jaguar's relationship was up and down. So Storm was like, okay, now I'm finally so mad at Jaguar, I'm not gonna hold this information back anymore. So he released it. But she had did the interview with Storm like 2 years ago. Okay, guys, so that's a little bit confusing, but that's how it is. Storm released the interview a year or two after. Okay, so that means that this lady exposed Jaguar a year or two ago. Okay, and I'm saying all of this because Jaguar is trying to resurrect the WCW now. So if we could, there's an old saying like, if you don't learn history, then you will repeat it. So we don't know the history of WCW and people join it now. It could possibly happen again. That Jaguar is having people fill in for her. She's not showing up. She's charging people money for products that she's not delivering. And the people who are trying to help her are the ones that, she gives like a hard time to. So right after Tia did her interview with Storm, she came out with this video. It says, the coke sniffing, gay, clout chasing backlash from Jaguar Wright. I'm not 100% sure because this was a long time ago, 2 years ago. But I think Tia was saying all of this stuff about Storm, calling him coke sniffing and gay clout chaser. Tia tried to act like Storm was going to release that interview on Jaguar for the wrong reasons. But that's very unfair because Tia is the one who got on his platform and said Jaguar Wright was homeless, dealing with domestic violence and scamming. You said that, Tia. You can't blame that on Storm. If Storm is gay, coke sniffing, clout chasing, that has nothing to do with the fact that you told him all of that stuff. Moving forward, Tokyo Tony on Jaguar Wright situation with Carbonation Cult and Nature Boy. 5 months ago, Tokyo Tony interviewed with Real Life Productions, and she addressed all of this stuff that's all connected. Now, Tokyo Tony is in the Devil's Network, so she can't tell. She can't tell everything. She can only tell you a little bit. So she didn't really say anything worth repeating that we don't already know. Below that, from 2 years ago, Tokyo Tony and Jaguar Wright interviewed Nature Boy Carbonation. I'm showing you these to show you the timeline. So 2 years ago, Tokyo Tony and Jaguar Wright got together. They said to us, the general public, that they were going to expose Nature Boy and take him down because they both had big followings. So they figured they could just use their influence. Tokyo Tony has a lot of influence on social media, on different platforms. Jaguar has a lot of influence on different platforms. We only tend to think about our YouTube sector. Jag is like, oh, I am the algorithm. I am the Jaguar right sector. I am the beef sector. It's not true. The Jaguar sector is very small. Those of us who are interested in it, this is our guilty pleasure. It's like staying up at night eating ice cream. It's something you do that you wish you didn't do, that you hope nobody finds out, but you do it. So Jaguar is our soap opera. Okay? That's it, and that's all. There are black YouTubers who make millions, hundreds of millions of views, who have no drama. They cover the news. You have black people who cover, I don't even know where to begin. There are black YouTubers I follow. They have comedy channels. There's one, he has like a puppet show. It's hilarious. He gets millions of views. There's black YouTubers who are just talented in their own way, that whatever information that they choose to talk about, they draw hundreds of thousands to millions of views because they're very charismatic and they're just good at what they do. They focus on their area, right? So my area of interest, I'm a mental health and substance abuse counselor, and I minister for the kingdom of heaven. So when people like Jaguar, Tokyo Tony, Nature Boy, Dr. York, when these crazy characters come around, it hits all of my fields of interest: mental health, substance abuse, and scripture. So I'm like, you hitting all of my buttons. So that's why I'm here. Okay. But at the same time, the sector that these people represent is very small. It's very tiny in the spectrum of black YouTube. So I need people to stop saying, oh, black people just love drama. Black people, this, that, and the third. Just no. That's what's happening in the Jaguar right sector. Now, the reason I'm saying all of this is because Tokyo Tony and Jaguar had a plan that they were going to take down Nature Boy, and that was going to boost Jaguar's women's group, and that was going to boost Tokyo Tony's social media presence, but it didn't because they weren't serious about it. They went on Bigo and they tried to interview Nature Boy, but it didn't really work out because they were not serious. They were playing around, so they didn't stick to the agenda, and they didn't really take real constructive actions. But here's what I want you guys to look at. Look how Jaguar Wright is dressed, and when her and Tokyo Tony went on Bigo to talk to Nature Boy. You see, Tokyo Tony's only showing her face. Look at Jaguar. Have we ever seen Jaguar dressed like this, with her breast out in a shirt like that, like she's a prostitute? We've never seen Jaguar dressed like that. She was doing that to try to, I don't know, seduce Nature Boy. Nature Boy like little skinny girls that are built like little boys. No titties, no butt, no hips, no curve, nothing. He like a straight up and down wood plank. He don't even want a stick. He want a plank. Something flat like an ironing board. He want them girls to cut their hair off like boys. He want them girls to be quiet. He want them girls to be young, just born yesterday. I mean, listen, he don't want no old, curvy, I'm trying not to be rude. You know, he don't want no Jaguar in Tokyo. But see, Tokyo tends to be more sexually explicit. But here's Jaguar act, over the top. Tokyo just showed her face. And when Tokyo got on there, she cursed nature. She said, "Fuck you, you devil, you demon from the pit of hell. I bind you to hell, you demon devil." Tokyo went off on Nature Boy. She I was surprised. I was surprised. I thought Tokyo was gonna, like, let him talk himself into a corner. Tokyo had no patience for Nature Boy. As soon as Nature Boy showed his face, Tokyo cursed him all the way out. She called him every demon, devil, everything. She was right. Tokyo was absolutely correct. You know? Jaguar was trying to be, oh, let me talk to you. You're retarded, special needs, little retarded kid. Let me give you some gummy bears and a coloring book and the big, big, big fat crayons so you can't choke on them and stick them in your nose and eat them. Let me coddle you and pat you on the back and all of that. Jaguar was trying to befriend Nature Boy. And they had to drop Tokyo Tony down because Tokyo Tony could not stop herself from cursing Nature Boy out. Tokyo Tony had no self-control whatsoever. As soon as she saw his face, she was just like, F you, demon devil from hell. So they dropped Tokyo Tony. Jaguar tried to seduce him. Nature Boy is crazy, so it didn't work. But it's just weird how Jaguar showed up to that meeting with Nature Boy. She knew that that's what they were going to do. So when you see how Tokyo Tony was so opposed to Nature Boy, and Tokyo Tony is the one who's, usually flaunts her sexuality. But then you see Jaguar trying to flaunt her sexuality, which we never see. It's like, Jaguar, are you that brainwashed? Do you really want to be with Nature Boy? Do you really want to join? Like, we got to think about this weird behavior. Fast forward, Tokyo Tony talks to Nature Boy in jail. Jaguar Wright and Tokyo Tony confront Nature Boy. Night and Day Network covered this about a year ago. Again, it was covered on Real Life Productions. Tokyo Tony on Jaguar Wright situation with Carbonation Cult and Nature Boy. And I'm bringing all of this up because when they attempted to confront Nature Boy and Bigo was 2 years ago. 2 years have passed since then. We have not heard neither Jaguar, nor Tokyo continue what they started about Nature Boy. And that's what bothers me about a lot of people on YouTube. I know that a lot of people on social media make up lies just to make money. People fake a lifestyle. They will rent an Airbnb. They'll buy clothes brand new and return them the next day just to go on social media and pretend that they're rich and famous or just rich. I know people lie on social media all the time. I'm not trying to fight everybody on social media. I'm only talking about people who run cults and who use spirituality to manipulate people and trap them into cults where people become enslaved. I'm really focused on people that's doing the wrong thing. I'm not focused on everybody who's lying on social media. But this is the way that these people choose to lie on social media. Another one is all of these people doing the same stuff, so I'm getting their names mixed up. Another one is young Pharaoh. It says here 4 years ago, 4 whole years ago, young Pharaoh goes in on Malachi Z. York and the Nubians. So this is way before young Pharaoh lost his mind. It says on young Pharaoh's pinned comment, why the Nubians must be destroyed tomorrow. So 4 years ago, young Pharaoh did his research on Dr. York's Nubians, and he was like, oh no, this has to go tomorrow. Like now, like within 24 hours, this has to be destroyed. And I understand that sentiment because one of my weaknesses, as I've told you guys in the past, I'm super impatient. So when I decide that I want to do something, I want it to be done. If I decide that something is really bad and toxic and it needs to stop, I want it to stop now. So that's why I get so riled up and I be on YouTube just losing my temper because I'm impatient. I'm like, listen, now, right now. Like, I'm just freaking out because I'm impatient. So I understand the sentiment that young Pharaoh was given when he said they need to be, why the Nuwabians must be destroyed tomorrow. He's saying, I've learned enough information that is toxic. And why would we want to continue to go along with something that's toxic? We need to stop it right now. All right, so that was 4 years ago. Below that, 6 years ago, young Pharaoh returns fire at Prince York. So Prince York is one of Dr. York's 60 or 70 children. And even 6 years ago, young Pharaoh was going against him. And 4 years ago, young Pharaoh wanted to destroy the whole cult. Fast forward 1 year ago, young Pharaoh threatens baby mothers, golden beauty, full video. Below that, 2 years ago, young Pharaoh put hands on baby mama. All right. So 6 years ago and 4 years ago, young Pharaoh was against the exploitation of the black community by Dr. York and his kids. And then 1 to 2 years ago, he's abusing his own woman and children. Here's his first baby mama. So this young lady, what's her name? Oh man. Golden, that's her name. So 2 years ago, he beat up Golden Beauty, his baby mother that has 2 children with him. Before her, he was with this young lady, Kamel. And young Pharaoh's first baby mother tells her side of the fight they had. Someone put a comment. They said, he used you and Golden to get on, always using the black women. The YouTube video above that says, young Pharaoh has lost his mind for good. Threatens second baby mother. Okay, so young Pharaoh, he physically assaulted both of his baby mothers, Golden Beauty and Kamel. He physically hit both of these women. Below, at the bottom, it says, young Pharaoh talks to Golden Beauty before going to jail. That was 1 year ago. It's after he abused her. Okay. Now, above that, it says, Rashad Jamal sentenced to 16 years. His wife tears up, followers in disbelief. Okay, so I talked a little bit earlier in this video about how Rashad Jamal was one of the people who endorsed Dr. York. And only a little bit. He didn't talk about him a lot, but he was just like, oh, the government set him up or whatever. Now when Rashad Jamal got arrested, and now he's in jail for 16 years behind being a child molester, just like Dr. York. Rashad Jamal's followers are saying, oh, the government set him up. You know, they completely ignore that the victims, the children who were sexually abused by these men, came forward and told their own stories. You can't take people's stories away from them. You can't say that a child... Anyway. All right. Anyway. I just want to say that even though you might have YouTubers that are exposing each other, like young Pharaoh was exposing that Dr. York and his son were bad characters. Young Pharaoh turned out to be a bad character. Okay? And young Pharaoh also ran a cult, meaning that he had members that believed in him so much that they sent him a lot of money, and they didn't I don't know what the word is, because you still have people that follow young Pharaoh even after he beat up his two baby mothers. They just didn't hold him accountable to being as righteous and noble as he said he was. All of these people, when they come out and start their cults, they say that they have a very good, positive mission, but no, their followers don't hold them accountable to that. Okay? Here I have some videos I want to show you guys from my channel. I'm showing you this to show you, like, I've been talking about stuff for the longest time. I did a video, Messy Miss Meta's exposed as pathological liar, 3 months ago. Jaguar recently, within the past like 2 weeks, went and started doing interviews on Messy's channel. And then Messy turned against Jaguar and called her girlfriend a pedophile. Debunking World News, Kulu Live, and other minions. Jaguar is now working with World News and Kulu Live. That was 4 months ago I exposed them. 4 months ago I exposed Queen Tulsa and Messy. Jaguar is working with Queen Tulsa and Messy. World News bum team threatens me, harasses and stalks YouTubers. I did a whole video explaining how World News's beam team abuses women to the point where we had to get police involved, like multiple of us, like 4 women, 5 YouTubers, including myself, females, have had to get police involved, and a couple of men. They didn't get police involved, but a couple of men were traumatized by World News harassing them. The screenshot here says, bitch, you gonna get your ass whooped. Y'all niggas play like y'all for God, but literally follow path to Satan. Boy, wait till y'all ass get caught. So this is a man who works for World News. Like, World News is not paying him not 1 penny to be this level of a dick sucker. But this guy loves World's Franken Beans so much that he would threaten me for World News. And now he's not even on Beam Team no more. So it's like, you did all of this for what? But the point I'm trying to make is, Jaguar is now working with World News and Kulu after all of this terrible stuff. World News exposed 200 videos by 80 YouTubers. Why is Jaguar working with these evil, wicked people now? Tokyo Tony, she cursed me out. You know, did not dox himself. And I did an exposed video what did not deceive people by hiding arrest record in plastic surgery. I did that video on Denot 5 months ago. Just like a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, Jaguar started working with Denot. Jaguar has worked with everybody that I've exposed, and they all turned on her, and they all made her look stupid and bad on social media. Okay, so, you know, I don't understand. Like, but I think my common sense would tell me people who are in the devil's network, they cannot work with me, Leilani, for God. They only can work with each other. That's part of their, I don't know what it's called. Part of their, I don't know, their code of conduct, their ethics, their morals. They can only work together. They cannot work with no godly people, which I understand, because I'm going to influence them to do the right thing. But the devil's going to tell them, keep lying, keep making false narratives, keep creating false storylines. I was going to say stereotypes, but it's storylines. And unfortunately, their storylines do turn into black stereotypes. People see Tokyo Tony, Jaguar Wright, World News, Nature Boy, and they judge all black people. So, I don't know why Jaguar is trying to work with World right now. Because World took responsibility for getting Jaguar arrested the last time that she got arrested. Not only that, he was following her every move and, you know, posting her locations and just revealing a lot of information about her that if anybody really wanted to hurt Jag, they could have. On more than one occasion, World sent people to Jaguar's live location when she got evicted, and when she was like at a gas station, and some people pulled up on Jag and started filming her because they were followers of World News. That's very sad. That's very dangerous. And that's invasive. Just because you act a fool on YouTube doesn't mean that you should be followed in your real life. I only agree with that if somebody's a violent criminal, you know? So I just want to check the comments real quick and see how you guys are doing. Shell said Jaguar really thinks she's a madam. You know, Shell, to be honest with you, with the WCW, the women's group, and overall how she's treated women. First of all, Shell, let me say this. Jaguar has admitted to being a madam. So you making that comment is very factual and on point. She does think she's a madam. Jaguar has said repeatedly that she was a female pimp. So her relationship towards other people, whether they're male or female, is pimpish. What can you do for me? I'm not going to do anything for you. You are going to do something for me. Okay, let's see. Anne says she wanted Carbon Island after meetings, then refugees from MB's cult. This stuff is all, yeah. Yeah, I addressed that earlier. I'm going to get deeper into that in a few minutes, Anne. And that's exactly what I'm building up to. Anne said, I would think she would have started one business with all them PPP loans she got. That woman just asked for it. And Anne, it's funny you said that because that's what World News was exposing about Jaguar. That she got a whole bunch of PPP loans in a whole bunch of different states. And he added it up. It was a lot of money. It was like, if I remember correctly, I want to say it was like $250,000 altogether. And if you got that much money in PPP loans, why haven't you sent anybody their salve? Like, why don't you have a house? For that money, you could buy a house in so many states in America. Like, anyway, let's move on. True Empress said, that's crazy. Jag needs to chill. That's what everybody's saying, True Empress. Everybody's saying that. She needs to slow down. Shell said, and don't even be meaning what she say. That's the hard part because a lot of people, my opinion is the reason why people are invested in Jaguar. Like 80%, I think 80% of the people who watch Jaguar are invested in her doing better. Like they're hoping one day she's going to wake up, see the light, and turn a corner and be a better person. True Empress said YP was on it hard back then. Empress, he was, but he was also always a con artist. He was doing bad stuff, raising money for stuff that he never did when he was on Facebook before he even joined YouTube. On Facebook, he raised money saying that he was going to build daycare centers. He never did that. Then he came on YouTube and started making up a whole bunch of new promises that he never kept. So it sounded like he was talking good. And that's why I'm bringing him up with the whole Dr. York stuff, because to show you guys, look how many black men have come after Dr. York and made promises that they did not keep. And those promises enabled them to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they were not even smart enough to do something small with the money that would have made us all think that they really believed in all the stuff they were talking about. None of them did anything productive with the money that they were able to get. Yes, Virtuous. Young Pharaoh shot at the baby mother's, not her garage, as you put. He shot at the house. One of the bullets lodged, I think Golden Beauty said near the what is it? The handrail, like inside the house. Like when you go up and down the stairs to go from like the first floor of your house to the second floor of your house, a bullet got lodged even in that space. And Golden Beauty was saying, what if the kids were running up and down the stairs? What if I was walking up and down the stairs? Like somebody would have got shot, or even in the garage where the other bullet was. Like who's to say that a family member wasn't moving around the house that could have gotten shot when young Pharaoh shot at her house? Let's see. Michael said, Leilani, fire. Thank you, Michael. Welcome. True Impa said, I love your thumbnails, especially when you match the spirit with their personality. You're making me laugh, True Empress. When I do my thumbnails, sometimes I'm being, y'all know, I'm being shady. I use pictures of Muppets, puppets. It's funny. These people, it's sad because what they're doing is very destructive to the people that are affected by them. Affected, not affected, affected. Because people who are affected by them are traumatized. And my personality is just set up to where I think everything is funny. I think everything is funny. So I always try to make a joke. Yeah, and yep. It's funny Ann said her bum team because there is definitely a connection that's becoming obvious now. It was not obvious in the past, but now it's obvious. The Beam team is Jaguar Right Shadow team. So Ann is paying attention. They always been working together, girl. Ann is on to it. She said, right, boots on the ground is what they call it. And Virtuous said, shaking my head and only own 2 outfits and some rolled up cigarettes. Yes, Virtuous. And you know what? A part of that is what bothers me about the fact that Jaguar is now back working with World News and the Beam team. They are the reason why she only have 2 outfits and some rolled up cigarettes. They had her arrested the day after she got evicted, so that made her lose all her whatever she had in that truck, clothes, a couch, a TV, whatever you could put in a moving truck. You know, they made her lose all of that shit because if they would have got her arrested, like after she put all that stuff in storage, then that would have been a different story. But they got her arrested like right after she got evicted, so it's like, oh man, she lost everything. Yeah. Y'all being shady. Okay, 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 okay. Let's move on. Y'all comments got me laughing. Okay. So I put a comment. I said, Nomad, a man, challenged World to a one-on-one MMA style fight. World is quiet as a church mouse. Godfear TV challenged World to come outside. World changed the subject. 8 with the 24 publicly challenged World to a fair fight. World is silence of the lambs. And there are other older instances of World running away from fights with men. He literally bought a bus ticket and skipped town to avoid the fade. So even though World was responsible for getting Jaguar Right arrested and getting her U-Haul truck towed or whatever, like he will put in all of that work to harass a black woman. World loves white women and Spanish women. He hates black women. And black women are his main supporters. Like stupid black women are the ones giving him money for his drug habit and telling him that he's really smart when he's really not and stuff like that. So these different black men have been like, World, I will bust you upside of your head, you fool. The world does not respond to those black men who challenge him to a fight at all. World only focuses on targeting, harassing, blackmailing, stalking, doxing black women. That's where he focuses his energy because he knows that women are not as strong as men. Just like, what I showed you guys earlier in this video and in my previous videos, one of world's dick suckers, Raz King, Razkyng, he threatened me that he's going to beat me up. He's going to whoop my ass. He said, bitch, you're going to get your ass whooped. Why? Why? Because world hates black women and you are a black man who enjoys the flavor of world's dick and balls. So you're going to threaten to beat me up because you're in love with world? That's really weird because he has a woman and children. Like, why would you threaten to fight me because of my freedom of speech when world is the one that's in the wrong? So it's just weird that men will work together to oppress women, and when you call it out, they just want to beat you up to shut you up. Like, weird. But when men step to world, have nothing to do with me. All of the examples that I showed you guys of the men who want to fight world, like I showed you guys in one of my older videos. I can't even remember right now because I made so much videos, but in one of my videos I showed you that like 8 guys wanted to fight world. He have not fought not one of those guys. So why are world's homo thugs trying to fight me? That's what I want to know. I have this World News Exposed video. 7,258 views. This is where I have to applaud you guys. The reason why this playlist has so many views is because I tell you guys, share it on all of your social media platforms. Because me personally, I'm only on YouTube right now. I have an Instagram, but I don't post on there. And I don't post nowhere else. I'm not posting on whatever else. I don't have TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter, whatever people are on. I'm only on YouTube. Okay? I need to get on those other platforms, but it's just not enough time in the day. I can only do what I can do, and I need you guys to help me. One of the ways y'all can help me, share my World News Exposed playlist on all of your social media. And I even said, if you have to make a troll account to share, do that. Make you a troll account. You're Mickey Mouse 2055. I don't care. And share the playlist because the spirit behind him is the same exact spirit behind other social media predators. So if people could figure out one, they could figure out the rest. And the fact that world is operating on different platforms, we don't know how many victims he has on those other platforms. World told us on YouTube that he can hack, that he could show, he can, what is it called? He could send a Trojan, like a virus, to your cell phone that could take pictures of you in your front facing camera. And he has released nudes on a woman on YouTube because of that. And she took action. The record of him being called into court is on Google. Her name is Crenshaw, a female YouTuber. Another YouTuber said she released her nudes, Clydiva. The T, her channel, she made videos about world harassing and stalking her, and that she has an order of protection against him. Saint LaShawn the Dawn. Saint LaShawn the Dawn is a female. She's a masculine female, so some people think she's a man. She did a whole series of videos about world harassing and stalking her. Um, 8 with the 24, he's a man. He did videos about world stalking, doxing, and harassing him. There's other people I can't remember right now, but this playlist, all of everything I just said to you guys is in this playlist, World News Exposed. And I want you guys to keep sharing it on all of your social media accounts because World is on a lot of social media accounts. He's on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Bigo, TikTok, and maybe Twitch. So that's why it's important to share across the platforms because people have accused him of contacting their friends and family members, hacking into their email accounts, hacking into their financial accounts. If he's doing all of this stuff, then and the people who accused him of this were older, like 30 and up. So if he's doing this to 30 and up people, men and women, imagine what he's doing to people who are 30 and under. Imagine how he could like terrorize a young person on TikTok. They might be 18, just got their first job at Starbucks, and get mixed up with World, and he's like blackmailing them. Like, oh my goodness. If from what I've seen he did to older women, I'm scared for what he could be doing to younger women. Okay? If he could release nudes on Crenshaw and Clydiva, two female YouTubers, and they're older, they're over 30, and they sent him money, so they were on his side. So if women can be nice to him and he could still release their nudes, imagine what he could do to a young person. And this is why I want to get predators off of social media. If they could traumatize older women that bad, I'm really worried about what they're doing to young people. I'm really worried about it. They also claim that they have footage on me. I live a very boring life. I go to work, I come home, I go shopping for food, I do laundry, I take out the garbage. That's about it. That's about it. My life will put you to sleep. That's why I have so much energy, because I keep my life simple. And I love God. So that's why I do a lot of stuff that I do. I want God's will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. I just feel like if we could work together to make the world a better place, then we would be working for God. But if we sit back and let people like World News just harass and stalk and dox innocent people, then that means we're working for the devil because we're not saying nothing. We're not doing nothing. We're not trying to stop it. And we're letting the world go to hell. We don't have to, you know? Anyway, let me move on. I'm ranting. So there's a couple of other playlists there. Mind control techniques, heal childhood trauma. The two playlists below World in this screenshot I'm showing you guys, I want y'all to be in those playlists. The same way the World playlist got over 7,000 views, I want y'all to keep sharing that because I'm afraid for how many people he's stalking, doxing, and harassing on other platforms. But the two below that, everybody has been a victim of these two things, either mind control techniques or healing childhood trauma. There's no rule book to being a parent. So a lot of times our parents were, I don't know, they could have been working a full-time job, but things happen when your parents are not with you. You could have got abused sexually, physically, or verbally. If your parents just put you in front of the TV and let the television raise you, you would be a victim of the mind control exposed techniques. Okay? So I want you guys to just watch the videos in the mind control techniques exposed and the healed childhood trauma, because there are things that you may have experienced that have hurt you that you might not even be aware of. You might not even be thinking, oh, I had a bad childhood. Oh, TV brainwashed me. You might not even be thinking about those things, but it's still true. So everybody needs to look in those playlists that I put together for you guys as well, so that you could break through and break out of bad influences that you may have received. So, here's a screenshot I took from Genesis. DJ Genesis was harassed by World News to the extent that World News told her that he knows that she had people working in her backyard. I mean, I would be so upset if somebody told me something like that. That means you're spying on me. And they do not live in the same state. Anyway, Genesis did a video like within the past week, 2 or 3 days ago. I took this screenshot from the transcript. At the 7-minute mark, she said, you know what I'm saying? We was already dealing with King World. The whole backlash of the carbonation stuff. You know, when Jaguar was brought into the fold, we were already dealing with King World, and King World was already threatening us in all types of stuff, you know? So not Jaguar. What is her name? Genesis. Genesis was saying that as soon as she got involved with Jaguar, Jaguar came to Genesis' house, and Jaguar discovered that Genesis was housing carbonation members, and Jaguar took interest in them. Genesis wanted to link up with Jaguar because Genesis wanted Jaguar to be in her documentary about her baby daddy, who was a rapper in a rap group that was popular at the time of the neo soul movement. So Genesis had her own ideas for what she wanted to work with Jaguar on. But once Jaguar got to Genesis' house and she saw that Genesis had carbonation members staying with her, Jaguar's mind clicked in a different direction to where Jaguar wanted to work with the carbonation members. So the original purpose of them meeting up was lost, number one. And number two, Genesis is clearly saying here, we were already dealing with King World, and King World was already threatening us. Okay? Okay. And like I said, Genesis just said this a couple of days ago, from whatever today's date is. Now, the fact that Jaguar is now working with King World, which is World News, it just goes to show that Jaguar's intentions are not pure. It's not clean. It's not for the best of the greater good of the greater society. Jaguar knows that King World has done terrible things to other people. King World did terrible things to Jaguar in terms of tracking her, stalking her, releasing her location to the general public on social media. That's just wrong. It's just wrong. But even if Jaguar wants to be like, okay, me and King World had beef, so he did that to me because we were fighting. That has nothing to do with everything World did to other women who did nothing to him. Genesis did not do nothing to King World. So for him to be like, oh, I know you got people in your backyard. Oh, I know everybody who live in your house. Oh, I'm going to expose you and everybody in your house. And he did so many videos, 4 hours to 10 hours long. His channels got deleted, two of them, where they had the most content, really degrading Jaguar in Genesis. And, you know, I feel bad for both of them as black women because King World does not have a reason to follow, stalk, harass, and dox him the way that he did. Um, anyway, before I change the subject, let me check the comment section and see what you guys are talking about. Shell said in blue, $250,000. Should have flipped that. Yeah, Shell. And she could have flipped it just by showing up. And the salve that she made was only shea butter infused with CBD oil. Like, how easy is that? Get you a blender. Let me not even talk about it to make other people take advantage of people. Right. Y'all are funny. Shell, True Empress, and Ann, y'all are funny. Yeah, yeah. I'm just reading y'all's comments. Right, Shell? Girl, why would they send nudes? When they did it, it wasn't 2023, but it was like 2021. So just like 2 years ago. And it's the same thing what you saying now. Why would you do that? Okay, True Empress. You know what, True Empress? I think every social media has a different personality. True Empress said, I'm on TikTok and Snap mainly. YouTube is too much for me to build on for some reason. You know what, True Empress? Every social media has a different personality. YouTube, I think, is for people who have a very long attention span because you got to watch the video, listen to the people saying, and then you got to keep following them to understand why they're talking about what they're talking about. So that means you got a long attention span. On Facebook, I think the attention span is shorter. Like, people will listen to their favorites, but they're not going to follow a saga like over time. It's like what you said now. I will listen to you talk for 20, 30 minutes, but I'm only going to react to what you said in that 20 or 30 minutes. Then when you get to Instagram, it's like 3 minutes or less. Then when you get to Twitter, it's like 1 minute or less. Then when you get to Snapchat, it's like a few seconds or less, you know? So every platform caters to a different personality type. Wow. Wow. Uh, True Empress, the stuff you saying, um, True Empress, you either need to join my Patreon or you need to join my YouTube membership at $6.99. So because you're saying stuff that I'm gonna talk about in more detail on those levels. I can't do it on YouTube. Now that I'm leading a campaign, I can't be ratchet. I gotta be professional. So I gotta take my ratchet somewhere else. But True Empress, you're saying a lot of stuff I want to. I really just want to be like blah, 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 blah. I want to, but I can't because people who are in the campaigns with me, they're super professional. They're very civilized. I can't be on here screaming and yelling and cursing in their ear. Yeah. I'm reading y'all comments. Y'all know Y'all know what's going on. Okay, True Empress. If you're on my Patreon, then you will get what me and Ann are laughing about. No, Empress, you don't have to upgrade your membership. I will put it at your level. Don't worry. You don't have to worry. If you want to upgrade your membership because you want to, because you want to know, you want to be a board member, which True Empress, you and I have been cool long enough that I completely trust you to be a board member. So you can absolutely be a part of that level. But at the level that you're at, I'm going to post. I have not posted yet. And that's why I said, Ann, you the one that's going to break the wall. Ann broke the wall. So everybody needs to thank Ann because I like Ann so much. I want to tell her the truth. So now that she joined at the $6.99 YouTube membership, I'm going to spill for Ann. So everybody needs to be grateful to Ann because she broke the wall. But if you already subscribed to me on Patreon, Empress, you're going to get what I'm going to tell Ann. So it's okay. But Empress, if you want to join at a higher level of Patreon to get more information, that is what goes to, the whole purpose. All of this paid membership stuff is for me to get a laptop and a website for the anti-bullying campaign for social media. Get the predators off social media. That's what all the money is for. Get predators off of social media. Okay? Otherwise, I would be doing like I've been doing on my YouTube channel, just telling y'all everything. Okay. All right. Here's where we at right now. Somebody left me this comment. I thought it was so good because I love when people just take off their mask and just be honest and just say, this is what it is. You know, we can't fix it up. We can't change it. We can't make it look pretty. We can't lie about it or sweep it under the rug. We have to be honest. This person left a comment for me. They said, I had to repent from watching Wally and King Payne and Sean. Jag, I've never given anybody any money, but they are seducing spirits. They know better. They're not willing to do better. So God gave them over to a reprobate mind. How could you pray and ask God for a wife, then you want that wife to stand up for you when you come in the room? Then you're talking about how you be bouncing with men, breaking your bed up after a hot night with a man, and all this foolishness in the name of God, mocking God. Some people like mystery, some people like drama when reading their favorite books. So I got hooked into the drama, knowing that none of it was true. But I asked God to deliver me from watching this foolishness. God is going to punish a lot of these bloggers that are mocking him and playing with his name. I just liked and subscribed to your channel because it's clean and decent. So I replied to her, I know what you mean, and I will do a video about exactly what you're talking about real soon. Welcome to my channel and thank you for subscribing. So this lady was saying that when I was exposing Sean David Way and King Payne for exploiting Jaguar right, I was saying that they also use the Bible and the Holy Spirit to hypnotize their audience, which is mainly black women, but they don't really believe in it because they're not living a righteous lifestyle. So this woman was saying, you know what, Leilani, you're right. I had to repent because I've been watching this stuff. So she's saying that she sees what I see, but she was like, just sweeping it under the rug. But now that I've exposed it, she's like, I can't continue to lie, to live a lie. These guys, they're not holy, which means set apart. Holy means set apart. That means that you are in this world, but you're not of this world. Meaning, you know there's bad stuff happening, but you don't participate. You separate yourself from it. So if you're in the world and you know bad stuff is happening, but you participate, then you're worldly. You're not holy. So this woman had a point where she just said, you know what? I'm not going to lie to myself. I know what you're saying is true, Leilani. I have to repent because I listened to these guys. I watched their content. And I'm not going to do it anymore because they are seducing spirits. And she even mentioned Jaguar in that. Like that whole homosexual spirit and the way Jaguar is using her lesbian relationship with TJ as content. When they go live, they always in the bed in some cheap, dirty motel. So it's like, it's bad, but they trying to be seducing spirits by the fact that they always in bed, like ill. Like nobody wants to see that, but it's an energy harvesting, which is what the devil people do. They want to harvest energy. There's an old saying, sex sells. So even if they're old and broke and dusty and ugly, the fact that they're in a motel in a bedroom, there are some people who are going to be, unfortunately, psychologically turned on. Oh, lesbians in bed in a motel, which is associated with, prostitution. The whole picture sells sex. So we have to be aware, you know, and tune some stuff out. Just be like, I'm not going to, watch this, you know? So I asked you guys a couple of days ago on Saturday, I said, Happy Sabbath. What would you like for me to cover in our next live? Enlightenment, conversations with God, proof, cult leader Dr. York is a Mason, and a biblical curse is over, we is free. Most people picked proof, cult leader Dr. York is a Mason. That's why I did the video I did for you guys today. I hope y'all liked it. The other two, enlightenment, conversations with God, I will do some videos for you guys on my Leilani for God about that. That was the second pick. The third one was a biblical curse is over, we is free. It got the least amount of votes, 21%, but I'm still going to do it for you guys here on my Leilani for God. But I got to tell y'all, now listen, I know I'm shady, and I know that makes y'all be shady. And we say a lot of comments about the devil people, and we have a good little laugh and all of that. But I got to get y'all. The most important topic in this poll was the one that got the least amount of votes. A biblical curse is over, we is free. Y'all should want to know about that more than anything else. Because the reason why we've been suffering as Black people all over the world is because of a biblical curse. And the curse came from us not following God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Now that Scripture said this is how many years that you will be cursed, that time has passed. We're not cursed anymore. So we're free. That means we have now the option to be free. And I'm disappointed that people pick, Dr. York is a Mason over freedom. Because freedom means freedom. I mean, there's no value in freedom. That's priceless. I'm going to give you guys that content anyway because it's important. But I just want y'all to know I'm looking at y'all side-eyed because y'all being so shady, and I'll take responsibility. I'm shady. So y'all probably like, oh, Leilani gonna be funny. She gonna be cutting up, acting a fool, and telling jokes. Okay, I understand why y'all picked that level. That's just entertainment. I entertain y'all when I'm acting a fool. But we're free. We are free. That's way more important than everything else. You could have said, Leilani, do the We're Free video, and then, the next day come back with the Dr. York video. Like, I'm going to give y'all all of this information regardless because I care about y'all. I love y'all. And we're free. It's something worth celebrating. Okay. So today I did the video. Yes, Shell. Girl, let me get in these comments. You know what? You know what? Y'all, you know what? I love y'all because y'all be right there with me. When I'm shady, y'all be shady. When I'm being educational, y'all be educational. I love all of y'all. And everybody who's been emailing me for like the past month, everybody, men and women, y'all have been so goody two shoes. Y'all are making me feel bad. Okay? Everybody been emailing me, been on their best behavior. They not being shady. They not gossiping. They not talking bad about nobody. And people been emailing me have been like teenagers up to adults, like every level. Everybody's been so civilized. And after I read all y'all messages, I said, I have to be a better person because y'all not acting crazy like me. So y'all are influencing me to be a better person. So thank you, everybody who's messaged me in the past month. Y'all are so sweet, so kind, so smart, so professional. Y'all are influencing me to be a better person because I could not imagine screaming and yelling and cursing in y'all ear. After I read y'all messages. So thank you all the goody two shoes that have been contacting me. Y'all are sweet. Y'all are so cute. I love all of y'all. So I put a poll. Uh-oh, where'd it go? Okay, here it goes. I put a poll. I said, we're going live tonight exposing the Jaguar Ray Johnson and Dr. York connection, as well as his Masonic membership. So I put a poll that said, I'm going to be there, Leilani. I'm mad at you, Leilani. This is the one. People voted that they're mad at me. It's okay. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I was joking, but if people are mad at me, it's okay. I'm going to discuss it with Ann on the $6.99 YouTube membership, as well as it will be uploaded to my Patreon for all levels of my Patreon to get. So it's just funny. Okay. But I just want you guys to know that I love all of y'all. My battery is dying, so I'm going to stop now. We've been on for a good 3 hours. And 3 hours and 22 minutes? Oh my God. I did not know I was talking that much. Okay, guys. I love y'all. Message me. Let me know what y'all want me to talk about. I'm going to put up the video explaining the dirt and the drama and the juicy whatever going on with me and other YouTubers. I'm gonna name YouTubers by name and tell you who I have beef with, who I don't, who I think has beef with me, even though I think it's a misunderstanding that they feel guilty, and more and more and more content to that effect of getting stuff off my chest, because I see stuff on YouTube that I want to tell you guys, but I don't, because I'm like, I got to keep it professional, because now I'm doing the campaign to get sociopaths off YouTube. So everything that I cannot say on my main page anymore because I'm being professional, I will say on my YouTube membership and Patreon. So join. Email me. You can ask me anything. You can make suggestions, feedback, whatever. Like if you're like, and I'm not above criticism. If you want to tell me I made a mistake, or you want me to, tone it down, which some people have, just, oh, Leilani, I love you. Um, just don't say the word retard. Like, a lot of people told me that. Like, that's their only gripe with me, is that I call people retarded. So, you know, you can talk to me, you can tell me anything, and I will do my best to find a way. I will call people retarded on my YouTube memberships and Patreon, but not on my main, on this Leilani for God channel. Okay? Respect. Okay? It's out of respect. I love y'all. I'll talk to y'all soon. Keep in touch. Let me know what y'all want me to talk about in the next video, and I will be back. Okay? Take care. Stay close to God and stay blessed.